Chapter 141. Shameless. Seeing this, a student from Tianshui City's first middle school was furious and glared at Xia Ping. You guys are bullying others with numbers. 5 or 6 people against one person, what kind of hero is that? They all gritted their teeth and their lungs were about to explode. Before the fight even started, someone was beaten up and knocked to the ground, and it was someone from their Tianshui City's first middle school. Qin Muyang didn't expect this bastard to be despicable to this extent. He attacked 5 or 6 people at once. He didn't talk about justice at all. So what if you bully others with numbers? It's not an arena competition. If you have the guts, come and bite me. Xia Ping looked at this group of students with disdain, not affected by these people's words at all. What the hell, this Xia Ping is really despicable and shameless. He's even more despicable than the rumors. I want to beat this bastard up. Don't stop me, I'm going to cripple this shameless Xia Ping. Doesn't he want to bully others with numbers? Then let's see who has more people. We have at least 200 or 300 people. If we rush up together, we can beat him until he pisses himself in an instant. What nonsense, do it now. Hearing this, the people from Tianshui City's first middle school were furious. Being provoked like this, how could these hot-blooded students stand it? So. A group of people rushed up like fierce tigers. More than 300 people began to move aggressively. Han Shan and the others' faces turned green. This scourged Xia Ping. They had more than 100 people fighting more than 300 people. Wasn't that courting death? How could they be their opponents? But now even if they wanted to escape, it was impossible. They were all targeted by the other party. How could they escape? Follow me. Xia Ping shouted and took the lead to rush up. Seeing this, the others had no choice but to follow up. Hundreds of people began to fight. Bang bang bang. The people in front were immediately sent flying by Xia Ping with a few punches, but the people behind were still coming one after another. They were very fierce and had no fear. There were too many people on the other side. Soon Han Shan and the others were at a disadvantage and retreated. The people from both sides were mixed together, and there was no distinction between them. It was as if they were in a mess. Haha, these bastards want to fight with us? They're courting death. Everyone use more strength. Soon we will be able to beat Xia Ping and his group to the ground. The students of the first middle school of Tianshui City were extremely excited and shouted desperately, as if they were about to see Xia Ping being beaten up. Xia Ping rolled his eyes and immediately took out a token and threw it into the crowd. A student in white subconsciously reached out and picked it up. He immediately shouted, I don't want to play anymore. I surrender. Aren't you guys here for the token? I've already given you all the tokens. You can take them. Whoosh whoosh whoosh. Immediately, many people looked at the medallion in the white-clothed student's hand, and greed appeared in their eyes. If they could obtain this medallion, they would immediately advance to the top 16. At that time they would gain both fame and fortune. Who wouldn't want it? Oh no. The white-clothed student's face turned green. This wasn't a command medallion but a hot potato. Now that he had obtained it, he immediately became the target of public criticism. How could a command medallion be something so easy to obtain? However, it was impossible for him to hand it over. After all, it was too difficult to obtain this token. If he could escape with this token, he might be able to advance to the top 16. With a whoosh, he gritted his teeth, turned around and ran, trying to break out of the encirclement. By the way, I still have 2 on me. I'll give them all to you. Xia Ping made another move and threw both tokens out, letting 2 students reach out and pick them up. He had 4 tokens on him and now he had lost 3. Immediately, the 2 students who got the tokens were overjoyed. How could they still want to fight with these people here? Escaping was the best strategy. They came here to compete, not to fight. As for the grievances between the first middle school and Xia Ping, it had nothing to do with them. Damn it, that bastard wants to run after snatching the token. Hurry up and catch him. At this time, Xia Ping secretly hid in the crowd, fanning the flames. Shameless, we are fighting here and these bastards want to run away after snatching the token? No way. The token belongs to me. Whoever dares to snatch it, go to hell. A group of people suddenly became furious and rushed up, trying to catch those students. They came here to get the token. Now that there were no benefits, how could they be willing to give up? Stop immediately. This is all Xia Ping's trick. Everyone don't be fooled, calm down. A student of Tianshui City's first middle school shouted, trying to control the situation. Trick my ass. Who doesn't know that the people of the first middle school have already obtained the token? Of course, we don't take it seriously. You just want to use us as cannon fodder for you. Xia Ping mixed into the crowd, shouting loudly, splashing dirty water on the first middle school. Which bastard, come out immediately. I promise I won't kill you. The student of the first middle school flew into a rage, trying to catch the bastard who wanted to fan the flames. Go to hell. Suddenly, a stone was thrown at him from an extremely strange and tricky angle. In an instant, it hit the knee of the student of the first middle school. With a puff, he immediately knelt on the ground, weak and powerless. This was Xia Ping's move. He used the hidden weapon technique of the head nailing 7 arrows technique to seriously injure the opponent. Hurry up, this kid also has a token. If we cripple him, the token will belong to us. So what if you're the first middle school? What right do you have to stand on our heads and order us like this? Don't we other middle schools have the right to get the token and be the champion? Xia Ping also shouted loudly in the crowd. Listening to this, a group of students next to him were tempted. They came here to see if there was a chance to get the token, so they followed the people of Tianshui City's first middle school. Now that they could snatch the token from the other side, they naturally wouldn't hesitate. After all, they were not really the subordinates of the students of Tianshui City's first middle school. This place was the scene of the competition. Everyone was competitors. If there was an opportunity to not fight for it, it would be stupid. Snatch it, that kid has a token. So what if you're from the first middle school? You're not the only one who advanced to the top 16. A group of people rushed up and violently beat up the student of the first middle school. His clothes were stripped off, and naturally, the token was also snatched by one of them without any hesitation. Guys, take advantage of this opportunity to cripple these people of the first middle school. When the time comes, we will have hope of becoming the champion. Xia Ping very insidiously reminded these students. Chapter 142. Whoosh whoosh whoosh. Everyone stared at the students of Tianshui City's first middle school with a ferocious look in their eyes. These people were not only the favorites to win the championship, but they also had tokens on them. 09 Small Talk Net. If they could use the power of everyone to completely eliminate these students of the first middle school, then they would have a great hope of winning the championship. After all, compared with the threat of Xia Ping, the threat of these people from the first middle school was the greatest. What the hell do you want? Sensing the malicious eyes around them, Qin Muyang and the others shouted angrily, shocked and angry. Not only did these bastards not listen to their orders, but they also wanted to fight back. Go, 2 fists are no match for 4 hands. 2 of them have already been crippled and there are still 8 left. If we rush up together, we can definitely beat them until they piss their pants. Xia Ping hid in the crowd and fanned the flames. When Qin Muyang and the others heard this, they were so angry that their noses were crooked. These bastards actually had this kind of idea. They actually wanted to cripple their first middle school and rob them of their tokens. Everyone's eyes lit up, and they rushed up one by one, wanting to beat Qin Muyang and the others up. No matter how strong these people were, it was impossible for them to be opponents of so many people. This was a rare opportunity. A group of ants dare to attack us? Everyone, let's attack together and destroy them. Let these people see the power of the first middle school. 09 Small Talk Net. Yes, it's just a lackey and they want to fight back against the master, too presumptuous. The students of the first middle school were all furious. If these students really swarmed up, hundreds of them would probably be beaten half to death, so they had to make the first move. Immediately, 2 people jumped out and displayed high-level martial arts skills. They were fierce and unparalleled, like a burst bear. Every punch and kick contained terrifying power, showing the strength of the 9th heaven martial disciple. In just an instant, 5 or 6 students in front were shocked and coughed up blood on the spot. For a moment, everyone present was shocked. They didn't expect the people of the first middle school to be so powerful. They could defeat so many students with just a few moves. It was too fierce. Haha, a group of mobs want to deal with my first middle school? You are simply dreaming. The 2 of them burst into laughter, feeling even more disdain for these students. They charged towards the crowd and attacked repeatedly, knocking another 5 or 6 students to the ground. Such momentum was simply like a tiger entering a flock of sheep, sweeping through everything before it. Swish swish. Suddenly, 2 stones flew over from the sky. Like lightning, they pierced through space, containing a terrifying force. In an instant they arrived before the 2 of them. What? The 2 from the first middle school were having a good time, enjoying the feeling of beating up so many students. But at this moment their hair stood on end. Their instincts for danger surged. A great danger was approaching. However, even if they could sense the danger, it was useless. They could not block it at all. The two stones struck their dantians in an instant. A terrifying force seeped into their dantians and dispersed the true energy in their dantians. For a few seconds, they were unable to circulate their true chi, as if their cultivation had been dispelled. Go kill these two bastards. We can't let the first middle school look down on us. What's so great about them? Are they born nobler than us? After plotting against the two, Xia Ping continued to shout loudly. The surrounding people immediately came to their senses. Seeing that the two of them seemed to be unable to move, they were all overjoyed. They rushed up and punched and kicked the two of them. Ah! The two of them screamed like pigs being slaughtered and kept coughing up blood. But now that the true energy in their dantians was scattered, they could not exert any strength for a while. Damn it, they have an accident. We must save them immediately. Everyone, let's do it together. Qin Muyang saw that the two from his school seemed to have been plotted against. If this continued, he was afraid that they would be seriously injured and eliminated. For the first middle school, this was simply a disgrace. Whoosh whoosh whoosh. The remaining 6 students from the first middle school, including Qin Muyang, chose to take action. They revealed the powerful cultivation of the 9th heaven of martial disciple. Like a tiger entering a flock of sheep, they planned to sweep this group of students and let them know what a genius was. The first middle school could not be defeated by a large number of people. Sure enough, when the 6 powerhouses of the 9th heaven of martial disciple realm took action, it was as if there were 6 more fierce tigers. Immediately, 20 or 30 students were shaken and coughed up blood on the spot. These people showed invincible power. Want to win? It's not that simple. Xia Ping's eyes showed a trace of coldness, and immediately there were 5 or 6 stones in his hand. First style of the 7 arrows, piercing heart and bone. Whoosh whoosh whoosh. 5 or 6 stones easily passed through the crowd, bypassing countless gaps, tearing the air, with a strong penetrating force, and suddenly came in front of the people from the first middle school. With a few bangs, those people were caught off guard and the stones hit their knees. They felt severe pain on the spot and were unable to move for a few seconds. Even Qin Muyang was hit. They had no idea that there would be someone so despicable as to plot against them. Who is it? Which bastard is plotting against me? Stand up immediately and I promise I won't kill you. Qin Muyang felt that he actually couldn't use his strength for a moment. His face turned green and extremely ugly. He originally had invincible power, but now he was actually plotted against. He couldn't bear this anger at all. Go to hell. A few students rushed up, punching and kicking Qin Muyang. A punch solidly hit on Qin Muyang's handsome face, directly causing it to become red and swollen. A kick directly on his crotch actually directly hit a vital point. Another student took out a brick out of nowhere and suddenly attacked from behind. With a bang, it hit the back of his head, smashing the brick on the spot. In just a second, Qin Muyang was beaten miserably like a pig's head. Ah! Qin Muyang went crazy. He was extremely angry. This was simply a tiger that fell to the flat land was simply bullied by dogs. A dragon swimming in shallow water was played by shrimps. When had the dignified number 1 master of the first middle school been beaten like this? If it weren't for that despicable and shameless villain, he would not have encountered such a disaster at all. I won't forgive you, I won't forgive you. From the corner of his eye, Qin Muyang saw a despicable figure smiling at him sinisterly. This person was obviously that shameless Xia Ping. It was obvious that the person who had plotted against him just now was this bastard. Xia Ping, you're courting death. Qin Muyang was so angry that his nose was crooked. He wanted to rush over and settle the score with this bastard. However, with so many students staring at him covetously, he couldn't move at all. Several students surrounded him and attacked him, trying to snatch the token from him. Chapter 143. At this moment, the entire scene was in chaos. Those who were fighting for the tokens and those who wanted to run away with the tokens were fighting each other. It was a chaotic battle. Everyone was an enemy here. Even those who didn't want to fight for the tokens were treated as enemies and forced to fight. The people from the first middle school were the targets. They were treated as fat sheep and attacked with all their might. Xia Ping didn't expect that his little scheme, hoping that the other side's allied forces would be in chaos, would cause such a huge commotion. Yes, it's time to retreat. Xia Ping's eyes flickered. At this stage, no one's orders mattered. Everyone was fighting for themselves. After this battle, at least 90% of the people would be eliminated. Even if they weren't eliminated, there was only 1 night left until the end of the competition. After this time, the preliminaries would be over. There was no need to fight to the death here. Whoosh. Thinking of this, Xia Ping's figure flashed in the crowd and secretly left the center of the battle. When Qin Muyang saw this, he was so depressed that he wanted to vomit blood. He wanted to chase after that bastard and beat him to death. However, he was surrounded by a group of students and couldn't escape at all. The other students from the first middle school were the same. Because of the previous sneak attack, they were beaten up badly. They were instantly injured and some even had their tokens snatched away. This scourge. On the top floor of a building far away, the people from Shilan Middle School were also watching this scene. Nangongwu was speechless as she looked at the chaotic scene and Xia Ping who had sneaked away. She originally thought that Xia Ping was dead for sure. This time he would definitely be defeated by the alliance led by Qin Muyang to help her vent her anger. Who would have thought that things would develop to this stage? Not only was this bad guy fine and retreated unscathed, but Qin Muyang and the others were unlucky. They were treated as fat sheep and were beaten up by a group of students. It was very miserable. It could only be said that Xia Ping's cunning had exceeded his imagination. Big sister, that bad guy ran away. Should we go and beat him up to vent our anger? A girl suggested and stared fiercely at the escaping Xia Ping. This time the reputation of Shilan Middle School was ruined. The dignified pearl of Shilan Middle School was actually forced to dance by this man. This was simply a scandal. The other girls were also eager to try. No need, that brat is not a simple person. Don't provoke him for now. Nangongwu's expression was very calm. She thought about what happened last night. His full-powered palm strike landed on this brat, but that bastard was actually unharmed. One could imagine how terrifying this fellow's strength was. If he really erupted, he would probably not be weaker than Qin Muyang or even stronger. If they really went to look for trouble, not only would they not be able to deal with this guy, they might even be humiliated. She wouldn't do something she wasn't confident in. Humph, count him lucky. The girls of Shilan Middle School gritted their teeth. They were very unwilling, but since Nangongwu said so, they had no choice but to temporarily give up. In the distance, there were also scattered contestants gathered around the villa. These people neither joined the Xiaping Coalition Army nor the First Middle School's Coalition Army. They were all neutral. But seeing this scene, they couldn't help but feel excited, and their blood was boiling. Ah, I'm rich. I'm really rich this time. I thought there was no chance for us to advance to the top 16, but I didn't expect this to happen. Wait until they're almost done fighting, then we'll go out and reap the benefits. I bet these people didn't expect there to be people lying in ambush here. We're the true victors. A bunch of idiots. Those tokens will definitely be taken by us. We have to thank that Xia Ping. If it wasn't for him, how could we have gotten such a chance? Break the First Middle School's monopoly? Everyone discussed spiritedly. They were all incomparably excited. They had made a wishful thinking. When these people were almost done fighting, they would immediately make a move and decide the outcome in one battle, snatching all the tokens. Chu Rong and Jiang Yaru were among these people. They were scattered in different areas, but their tokens had all been taken by the First Middle School, so they hadn't been able to find a chance. When they heard the news, they quickly rushed over. But they didn't expect something like this to happen. Both sides directly erupted into a chaotic battle, and the First Middle School's coalition army actually killed each other. It was simply too dramatic. As expected, no matter where this scoundrel goes, he'll always be a scourge. Jiang Yaru looked at the students of the First Middle School, rejoicing in their misfortune. Who asked these guys to be arrogant and look down on others? Now they finally kicked an iron plate. This was the first time she felt that this scoundrel Xia Ping had done the right thing for once. He had never done anything good before. This is an opportunity, we can't miss it. Chu Rong clenched her fists. If it wasn't for this accident, they probably wouldn't have found a chance to get the tokens. After all, the First Middle School's coalition was simply too strong. They wouldn't be able to make a move. But now these people were beaten miserably and the opportunity had come. We still have many opponents. We have to be careful. Jiang Yaru said solemnly. There were also many people who wanted to get the tokens. Chu Rong smiled. It's fine. If we join hands, even the First Middle School won't be afraid. For the sake of advancing to the top 16 and obtaining the tokens, these two archenemies joined hands at this time. After all, if they couldn't advance to the top 16, everything would be for naught. At this time, Xia Ping was far away from the battlefield. He found a hotel room and entered the presidential suite. Just like that, he fell into a deep sleep, not paying any attention to the battlefield at all. After all, he had already obtained a token. Advancing to the top 16 was already a sure thing. As for who would be able to fight for the tokens in the future, it had nothing to do with him. This sleep lasted for the entire night. During this time, no one came looking for trouble with Xiaoping. It was as if everyone in the tournament had completely forgotten about him. This made Xiaoping feel very at ease. Early the next morning, the sun shone in through the window. It was extremely warm and gentle. Xiaoping got up from the soft bed and stretched. After a night's sleep, he felt extremely comfortable and refreshed. It was as if all the fatigue of the day had disappeared. Beep beep. At this time, a message came from his smartwatch. A virtual projection appeared, showing, "Tournament over. Immediately leave the simulation city and head to the gate of the 8th region." Is the tournament finally over? Xiaoping smiled. He knew that he had advanced to the top 16, but he didn't know who else had advanced to the top 16. Chapter 144. The City Gate of the 8th Zone. When Xiaoping arrived at the city gate, he immediately found that many students had gathered in this place, but there were basically only a few of these people who were unscathed. All of them were in a sorry state. If they were not beaten in the head, their faces were swollen, and they had a pair of panda eyes. Their arms were broken and their thighs were broken. Anyway, they were as miserable as they could be. These students supported each other and walked out of the city gate step by step. They were almost like refugees. The staff near the city gate were also speechless, and the corners of their mouths twitched. They had organized so many high school fighting competitions, but this one was the worst. Almost everyone was injured. Moreover, they were not light injuries. They were all seriously injured, and they were the kind of people who wanted to kill. Fuck, isn't this guy Xiaoping? Why hasn't he been beaten to death yet? He actually came out alive and kicking? Look at his eyes, look at his face, how rosy it is. It seems that he has rested for a night and is very comfortable. Fuck, we were chased all night and fought with each other. I don't know how many people were sent to the hospital, but this kid ate and drank well and even slept for a night. I can't accept it. Why are we so miserable? Is there any justice in this world? God has no eyes. Seeing Xiaoping walk out of the city gate, the other students looked over one by one, and their eyes showed extreme anger. They simply wanted to rush up and bite Xiaoping to death immediately. What's the matter? Why are you looking at me? I'm not very familiar with you. But what the hell is going on with you guys? Did I go to the wrong place and come to the disabled summit? Xiaoping looked at the students around him curiously, feeling very puzzled. Bullshit. Who would participate in the disabled summit? If you don't know how to speak, don't say it. No one will think you are mute. Hearing these words, the surrounding students were so angry that their noses were crooked. The reason why they became so miserable and each of them became disabled, was it not all because of this shameless guy? If it weren't for you bastard fanning the flames, how could they have fought and gotten out of hand? Everyone was beating each other and both sides were injured. However, the perpetrator was not even a fart. He was refreshed, his face was rosy, and he seemed to have had a good sleep. In contrast, they were too miserable and all of them were angry. Xiaoping. At this moment, an angry shout rang out. A man with a head wrapped in white bandages, 2 panda eyes, and a mouth swollen like a sausage walked over. He widened his panda eyes and glared fiercely at Xiaoping, as if he wanted to eat him alive. Brother Panda, are we close? Xiaoping blinked his eyes and looked at the man in confusion. He believed that he had never seen this kid before and that he was a stranger. He clearly remembered that no one he knew looked like a panda. I'm not a panda. I'm Qin Muyang. The man cried out in grief and indignation. His tone contained boundless grief and indignation, and he was almost unable to suppress his emotions. Everyone was stunned and dumbfounded. This was the first time they had seen Qin Muyang like this. If he hadn't mentioned it, no one would have recognized him. You are Qin Muyang? It couldn't be. How could he become like this after just one night? Time is really a butcher's knife. Xiaoping sighed again and again. Time was a terrifying thing. Thinking back to how handsome Qin Muyang was back then, he was practically a school idol. In just one night he had become like this. Of course it wasn't bad now. He had become a cute type and could act cute anytime and anywhere. It was just that his chin and face were a little bigger and a little swollen. Kill your ass. I was beaten up by someone. Qin Muyang's nose was crooked from anger. He had become like this and this bastard thought it was the fault of time. Bullshit. No matter how terrifying time was, it was impossible for him to become like this in one night. Even someone who aged easily wouldn't age so quickly. This bastard didn't have much ability, but his ability to shirk responsibility was great. Beaten up by someone? Xiaoping blinked his pure eyes, looking very innocent. So that's how it is. But who did this to you? It's too cruel. Qin Muyang gritted his teeth. Thinking of what happened last night, he didn't want to recall it. It was simply a nightmare, the most painful night in 18 years. He was plotted against and beaten up by a group of people. Someone hit him on the back of the head with a brick, almost knocking him out. A group of people punched and kicked him. If he hadn't cultivated a powerful body protection technique and struggled hard, maybe his pants would have been snatched by a group of wolf-like bastards. He almost lost his chastity. But even so, in order to avoid the pursuit of a group of people, he fought and retreated. In the end, he finally lasted until the end of the competition. He didn't sleep all night and his nerves were tense. It was a pity that he was a master at the 9th layer of the martial disciple realm, the strongest in the first middle school, the son of the mayor, but he was beaten up like this and chased like a dead dog. When did he, Qin Muyang, experience such a thing? And all of this thanks to this shameless Xia Ping. Xia Ping, don't pretend to be innocent here. If you didn't plot against us last night, how could we become so miserable? Thanks to your plot, the students of our first middle school were beaten miserably. 6 were eliminated and 4 were seriously injured and hospitalized. This is all thanks to you, do you know? 2 or 3 students with white bandages came forward and glared at Xia Ping fiercely. They were the remaining students of the first middle school. Before, 10 of them could advance to the top 16, but after last night's battle, only 4 people could advance to the top 16, which was the worst in years. So they hated Xia Ping so much that they couldn't help but want to go up and beat Xia Ping up. Okay, don't talk here. At this time, a middle-aged referee came out. Your injuries are very serious. You need to go in for treatment immediately and soak in the nutrient solution. If you delay, there may be sequelae, you know? He waved his hand and ordered the staff around to come forward and carry away the seriously injured students. This Tianshui City High School fighting competition was organized by the government. Naturally, a series of medical measures were prepared to prevent students from being too seriously injured during the fighting and dying. Moreover, these medical treatments were free. It was a kind of safety guarantee given by the government to the contestants. Seeing that the referee had spoken personally, Qin Muyang and others were helpless. They also knew that they couldn't do anything to Xia Ping now. Once they did, they would be kicked out of the competition and eliminated completely. Chapter 145. After the qualifiers, a day passed. At this time, Tianshui City Stadium. Although it is said to be a stadium, it is better to call it a sports city because there are all kinds of facilities here, including restaurants, dormitories, training grounds, green space, and so on. This place is a bit similar to the Olympic City in his previous life. The students who advance to the top 16 from the qualifiers are eligible to live in this sports city apartment. Xia Ping is no exception, but the other students have to be sent back to their hometown. Early in the morning, the nutrition cabin in the bedroom opened with a snap. Xia Ping opened his eyes and the liquid in his body was immediately evaporated by the machine. Then he came out of the nutrition cabin refreshed. As expected of the advanced nutrition cabin, the nutrient solution inside is really not a cover. It is estimated that it will cost hundreds of thousands of federal coins to soak once. The government is really willing. Xia Ping exclaimed. This is a benefit provided to the top 16 students to recover from the fatigue and injuries of the qualifiers. No matter how serious the injury on the body is, soaking in this high-level nutrient solution can recover in one night. Although he did not suffer too many injuries, the nutrient solution also has great benefits for strengthening the body. He naturally will not let go of this opportunity to take advantage of it. Pa. He moved his body, and the bones all over his body vibrated, bursting out with the sound of tigers and leopards. He felt that his body seemed to have become stronger after a night of cultivation. Even the true qi in his body has grown a little stronger, moving towards the peak of the 9th heaven of martial arts. It will not be long before I can break through to the martial warrior realm. Xia Ping squeezed his fist, feeling the strength of his whole body muscles, and the true qi in his body flowed like a river. The 9 meridians were all connected and condensed into one. This is the power of the peak of the martial disciple realm. And now his Baihui acupoint has actually been connected a long time ago. Once he is promoted to the peak of the 9th heaven of martial arts, then with this power he will naturally step into the martial disciple realm and completely connect the Baihui acupoint. Others don't have such a good thing. Gugu. At this time Xia Ping's stomach made a sound. He reached out and touched his stomach. Well, are you hungry? It seems that it is time to go out for breakfast. There is a competition later. After the qualifiers, the next morning will be the top 16, then the afternoon will be the top 8, then the next day will be the top 4, and then the afternoon will be the final. This was a 2-day competition for the top 16. There was no time to rest at all. It was extremely cruel. A few minutes later, Xia Ping came out of the apartment and went to the cafeteria. All the food in the cafeteria was provided free of charge. It could be considered a benefit for the students participating in the competition. Xia Ping. When they arrived at the dining hall, a clear and melodious voice rang out. It was Jianghu. She had also advanced to the top 16, and was currently in the dining hall. Humph, you actually slept until now. You're really undisciplined. Do you look down on the other contestants that much? The one who spoke was Chu Rong. She had also advanced to the top 16. These two people teamed up during the qualifiers, exerting more terrifying strength than the martial disciple Nine Heavens, suppressing a group of strong people and successfully seizing 2 tokens, making countless people look sideways. Of course not. My injuries were too severe. I rested in the health pod for a long time. Xia Ping blinked his eyes. Bullshit. Jiang Yaru and Chu Rong saw through this bastard's lies with a single glance. Who didn't know that this bastard had been hiding from the very beginning? He hadn't participated in the battle the day before yesterday, and had even left the Sim City in high spirits the next day. If this was considered too severe, then wouldn't everyone else be disabled? Even if the other contestants were no different from disabled people after coming out. Whoosh whoosh whoosh. All of a sudden, a group of people walked into the dining hall. They were the students of Tianshui City's first middle school. One by one they entered the dining hall. The person in the lead was Qin Muyang. After soaking in the nutrient solution for a day, their injuries had mostly healed. Compared to the miserable state they were in before, who knew how much better they were. Suddenly, Qin Muyang and the others saw Xia Ping in the dining hall. The atmosphere immediately became heavy. Jiang Yaru and Chu Rong knew that Xia Ping had a grudge against these guys. During the qualifiers, he had ruthlessly plotted against them, making Qin Muyang and the others suffer. Xia Ping. Qin Muyang gritted his teeth. These 2 words seemed to have been spat out from between his teeth. Who knew how much anger was contained in those words? There was even a trace of killing intent emanating from his body. The other students of the first middle school also stared at Xia Ping coldly. Today is the start of the top 16. Qin Muyang's eyes were cold and emotionless. His tone was as cold as the winter wind. This time no one can help you. I will personally defeat you on the stage and break your legs. He clearly remembered the humiliation he had suffered in the qualifiers. It could be said that such a painful experience was brought to him by Xia Ping. If he didn't repay him well, he would definitely die. If he didn't properly repay him, then he, Qin Muyang, would write his name backwards. With just you. Xia Ping gave him a sidelong glance. Qin Muyang sneered. Still so stubborn. If you hadn't relied on numbers to plot against me during the qualifiers, how could a piece of trash like you be a match for me? On the stage you won't be able to use any tricks. In front of absolute strength you're nothing but a bug. I can easily crush you. His eyes were incomparably arrogant. He had absolute confidence in himself. I wonder who's the real trash here. Wait until you really defeat Xia Ping before you can say such big words. Jiang Yaru was very displeased with the other party's arrogant attitude and said in a very displeased manner. Shut up. We men are talking. Since when did you have the right to interrupt? You deserve a slap. Qin Muyang's eyes flashed with a cold light. With a bang his palm slammed out like lightning. The power of this palm was even stronger than during the qualifiers. It was incomparably fierce. What? Jiang Yaru's expression changed. She could feel that she had been completely locked down by the power of this palm. No matter where she tried to hide, it would still catch up to her. If she was hit by this incomparably fierce palm, she would at least be heavily injured. Moreover, it was aimed at her face. It might even be disfigured. Xia Ping took a step forward and arrived in front of Jiang Yaru. His fist slammed out like a shark leaping out of the sea. Bang! The fist and the palm collided with each other, and immediately, a powerful shockwave erupted. The nearby tables were all blown away by the violent wind, making crashing sounds, and even a few cracks appeared on the ground. Chapter 146. Humph, you sure know how to be protective of the fairer sex. Qin Muyang retracted his palm. He wasn't surprised that Xia Ping was able to block his attack. He sneered, this is just a lesson for her. Let her know that following the wrong person will bring her great misfortune. If you know what's good for you, then scram. Otherwise you won't have a good ending either. He looked at Xiaoping, Jianghu, and the others with contempt as if he was looking at ants. Jianghu was furious. If it weren't for Xiaoping suddenly making a move, she would have suffered a calamity. But how could she have imagined that this guy would dare to make a move in a place like this? This guy was simply too unbridled and out of control. He probably relied on his identity as the mayor's son to act like a tyrant and not put anyone in his eyes. Fellow student. At this time, a security guard immediately walked in. He seemed to have noticed the situation. You can't fight here. If you break the rules, you'll be immediately kicked out and stripped of your qualifications. He warned the students that if the contestants fought in the cafeteria and the reporters found out, it would be a huge scandal. He had no choice but to stop them. Don't worry. This is just a greeting. Qin Muyang didn't even look at the security guard. He looked at Xiaoping and sneered, the good part is yet to come. I will completely crush you on the stage in front of everyone in Tianshui City and trample you beneath my feet. Of course you'll have to crawl in front of me first. If you don't even have the qualifications to stand in front of me, then you're nothing more than trash. After saying that, he waved his hand and left with the students from Tianshui City's first middle school. That bastard is too hateful. Does he think that just because he's from Tianshui City's first middle school that he'll definitely win? That he's invincible? Jianghu was furious to the extreme. That guy has the qualifications to be arrogant. Chu Rong's expression was solemn. I can feel that this palm is extremely unusual. It seems that compared to the qualifiers, this Qin Muyang has become even stronger. Otherwise there's no way Yaru wouldn't be able to dodge that palm. No way even stronger? Jianghu furrowed his brows. Indeed. I can feel that my entire body's aura has been locked onto by him. There's an unusual pressure coming from him, completely different from before. But he is already a powerhouse at the peak of the ninth heaven of the martial artist. If he is stronger, wouldn't he have been promoted to the martial artist realm? But how is this possible? She shook her head, not daring to imagine this fact. Even in the hundreds of years of history of Tianshui City, there were very few high school students who could advance to the martial warrior realm. However, Xiaoping was certain that Qin Muyang had indeed advanced to the martial warrior realm. There was a faint trace of mental strength coming from Qin Muyang's body, and even his vital energy was several times stronger than before. All of these proved that he had already stepped into the martial warrior realm. However, he had not displayed his full strength just now. He was still holding back, probably wanting to amaze the world with a single brilliant feat in the finals, shocking countless spectators and establishing his own reputation. If Qin Muyang really advances to the martial warrior realm, I'm afraid he will be the champion this time. No one will be able to compete with him. Chu Rong sighed. After all, the gap between the martial artist realm and the martial disciple realm was too big. It was almost impossible to make up for. It was like a gap between heaven and earth. Xiaoping did not say anything. Even if Qin Muyang had advanced to the martial artist realm, he was not afraid. Qin Muyang had only advanced to the first heaven of the martial artist realm and cleared one acupoint. Although there was a great improvement in strength, there was still a long way to go to break his northern dark body protection art. In the past, he had also fought against Lin Bao, the leader of the Cheetah Regiment, who was a half-step martial warrior. In the face of the other party's desperate blow, he could not cause any harm to him. Instead, he was slapped to death by him, but at that time he was only at the 8th layer of martial disciple. Now, Xiaoping was already at the 9th layer of the martial disciple realm. He had opened up 9 meridians and merged them into one. His strength was several times stronger than before. Even if he faced a powerhouse at the first layer of the martial disciple realm, he was still fearless. Of course, there was no need for him to say all of this out loud. Everything would be revealed in the arena. At this time, the students of Tianshui City's number 1 middle school, Qin Muyang, and the others left the restaurant. Big brother Qin, how is it? Did you test out the strength of that kid Xiaoping? A long-haired student asked. He knew that the reason why Qin Muyang suddenly attacked just now was intentional. The purpose was to test Xiaoping's strength. I've tested it out. This kid has been promoted to the 9th layer of the martial disciple realm. The information still shows that he is a powerhouse at the 8th layer of the martial disciple realm. It's obvious that the information is wrong. Qin Muyang said in a deep voice, his eyes revealing a cold light. After experiencing the painful lesson of the qualifiers, he would not underestimate any opponent, so he deliberately came to the restaurant to find trouble with Xiaoping and test the strength of the other party. Too despicable. The long-haired student yelled, where is this information wrong? It's clear that the kid is pretending to be a pig to eat a tiger. He must have hidden his cultivation base and waited for the game to suddenly break out. When we are unprepared, we will definitely be caught off guard by the other party. A hawk-nosed student next to him also had a gloomy face. I saw the shamelessness of this bastard in the qualifiers. I didn't expect his despicable shamelessness to penetrate into the bone. Even the information of martial arts cultivation base is false. Fortunately, we tested it in time, otherwise we would have been deceived by this guy. This Xia Ping is too shameless. His words really can't be trusted even with a punctuation mark. Even the martial arts cultivation base is fake. Are those organizers eating shit? They can't even judge a person's true cultivation base. It's too incompetent. Fortunately, Big Brother Qin is smart and knows how to test it. In short, we were fooled by this bastard once. There must not be a second time. His trump card has been exposed. This time he has nowhere to escape and will definitely be defeated by our first middle school. Several other students clenched their fists, obviously unwilling to accept what happened in the qualifiers. If Xia Ping was here, he would definitely feel very innocent, because his information was not falsified. It was just because he suddenly broke through in the qualifiers. Of course, no one would believe these words. It's okay, so what if it's fake? He only has this ability. Qin Muyang sneered. In the face of absolute strength, any conspiracy is just a joke. I will let Xia Ping see what is powerless and what is terror. I will return all the care he gave me during the qualifiers. He gritted his teeth, his body exuding a cold, murderous aura. Chapter 147. Half an hour later, Xia Ping ate and drank his fill in the restaurant. Suddenly, he felt a hint of urination, so he ran to the men's toilet in the restaurant and comfortably peed. However, when he was about to walk out of the toilet, a man in white came towards him. His face showed a feminine expression, his eyes contained a trace of gloom, and his whole body exuded a trace of coldness, which made people feel very uncomfortable. If I'm not wrong, you are Xia Ping, right? The man in white stared at Xia Ping, revealing a proud smile as if he had seen an interesting toy. I'm Xia Ping, who are you? Xia Ping looked at the man in white indifferently. Let me introduce myself first. I am Lu Liang and my father is the deputy mayor Lu Changjiang. The man in white, Lu Liang, looked at Xia Ping and said, I am very interested in you. You dare to offend Qin Muyang so blatantly. You are really bold. He pointed out his identity, giving people a sense of superiority. Whether I am bold or not, what does it have to do with you? Xia Ping said lightly. The man in white, Lu Liang, clapped his hands and said, Because I admire you very much. Be my follower. With me protecting you, I believe Qin Muyang will not dare to do anything to you. Moreover, my Lu family is also a big family in Tianshui City. We are rich in resources, and it is easy to cultivate a few martial arts experts. As long as you follow me, you will not have to worry about food and clothing in the future. Glory, splendor, and wealth will be at your fingertips. Of course, since you are my follower, you must understand what it means to be respectful. You have to change the tone of your speech. Don't go out and lose the face of my Lu family. Don't let people think that my Lu family has no family education and doesn't know how to teach people. Hearing this, Xia Ping looked at the man in white, Lu Liang, as if he was looking at an idiot and said, Why did you walk out of the house without taking medicine? Do you know that this is harmful to society and is a very irresponsible behavior? What's your home phone number? I'll call and ask your mother to take you home. He wanted to ask for the other party's home phone number. Xia Ping, you've gone too far. Is this the attitude you should have when speaking to your future master? The man in white, Lu Liang, was not an idiot. Naturally, he could tell that Xia Ping was mocking him as mentally ill. Immediately, he felt a burst of anger. Do you know what kind of clan my Lu clan is in Tianshui City? We are a century-old clan with many strong cultivators. Even Qin Muyang's clan is on par with my Lu clan. There are a lot of people out there who want to be my Lu family's dog. Many people are begging for it, but they don't have the chance. I asked you to be my dog because I think highly of you. Otherwise you, Xia Ping, don't even deserve to carry shoes for me, Lu Liang. You should know how to appreciate favors, understand? He stared at Xia Ping with a lofty attitude, as if he was a relative of the emperor and Xia Ping was just a lowly commoner selling straw sandals. Their statuses were completely different. I don't care if you're from the Lu family or the Gao family. Xia Ping sneered and his eyes showed a trace of indifference. If someone wants to be a dog for your Lu family, that's their business. If someone wants to eat shit, do I have to follow suit and eat shit? Not to mention your Qinshui City's Lu family, even if the Federation president comes down in person and wants to play dumb in front of me, he is not qualified. This Lu family is powerful in Qinshui City and is a century-old clan, but looking at the entire Yanhuang Star, this Lu family is just a local tycoon. To put it bluntly, it's just a country bumpkin. Because there are hundreds of cities like Qinshui City in Yangzhou district, it's not worth mentioning at all. To be able to dominate Qinshui City, it's simply dog shit outside. Such a character wants him to bow his head and be a dog, it's simply a joke. He doesn't even know his own weight. Good, very good. The man in white, Lu Liang's face was gloomy to the extreme. I didn't expect a small civilian to dare to be arrogant to this extent. He doesn't even put my Lu family in his eyes. He's only qualified to carry your shoes. You Xiaoping are arrogant enough. I'd like to see what you can do to resist the anger of the Gao family. If you refuse this opportunity, then even if you kneel on the ground and beg me, I won't pay attention to you. He was angry to the extreme. He was born 18 years ago and has always been high and mighty. As soon as he was born, he was a member of the Lu family, who didn't respect him and flatter him. Like this, he took the initiative to invite others to be his attendant. This is the first time. For him, he has already given the other party enough face. This is a gift. But this kid didn't give him face and said that he is not qualified. It's too presumptuous. A lowly person dares to talk to him like this? I advise you not to annoy me, otherwise you won't be able to resist the anger of the Xia family. The entire Lu family will fall apart because of your stupid behavior. Do you understand? Xia Ping said contemptuously. Lu Liang was stunned. Xia family? Is there such a family in Qinshui City? Saying that you are stupid is a compliment. Of course, the Xia family is my family. It has been around since ancient times. It is a hidden family that never comes out easily. Xia Ping's eyes were incomparably arrogant. Once it comes out, it will set off a reign of terror. Blood will flow like a river. Your insignificant Lu family is just an ant that can be slaughtered overnight. I advise you to go back and keep a low profile. If you don't understand, then don't come out and pretend. Otherwise, you will provoke people you shouldn't provoke and implicate your father. That's a trap. Do you understand? The eyes of the white-clothed man Lu Liang flashed. His heart suddenly became gloomy and a little uncertain. This kid dared to be so arrogant, not afraid of the Lu family and the Gao family. Could it be that he really has a big background? But thinking about it, it was strange. If he was just a commoner with no background, he probably wouldn't dare to talk to him like this. Even if this so-called Xia family is not as powerful as this kid said, it may be more or less have some ability and can't be underestimated. Lu Liang was also born in a big family. He grew up in intrigue from childhood. He was very shrewd and didn't show anything. He coldly snorted. Then I'll wait and see. Dropping this sentence, he turned around and left. In the distance, Chu Rong and Jiang Yaru also saw this scene and immediately ran up. How did you provoke that Lu Liang? Jiang Yaru said. That guy is the strongest person in Qinshui City's second middle school. He is also a contestant in the top 16 this time. He is strong at least in the 9th layer of martial disciple. And the other party is vengeful and ruthless. Some people in the second middle school call him a poisonous snake, which makes countless students fear him. She had also heard a lot of rumors about the other party. It's okay, I have the Xia family to support me. That guy is just a chicken and a dog. Xia Ping waved his hand. He didn't care at all. Chu Rong was stunned. Xia family? Is there such a powerful family in Qinshui City? Don't listen to this kid's nonsense. Jiang Yaru said angrily. The so-called Xia family is probably only 3 people. His father, mother, and him, Xia Ping. Chu Rong was speechless. The corner of her mouth twitched. Could this even be called a family? Chapter 148. Qinshui City Stadium. At this time, a large number of spectators entered the stadium, almost filling the entire audience seats, densely packed. At least 100,000 people came, an unprecedented grand occasion. After all, this is an annual event in Qinshui City, similar to the Olympic Games. In the middle of the entire stadium, there are 8 huge rings set up, and the top 16 matches will be held at the same time. If they win, the top 8 matches will begin in the afternoon. The schedule of the game is very dense and there is basically no rest time. This year is really a big upset. I didn't expect that the unknown Qianshui City 95th Middle School would have 2 students enter the top 16 at once. It's incredible. Indeed, I thought that the strongest Qianshui City First Middle School would occupy at least 7 or 8 places, but only 4 places are occupied. It's really shocking. However, the favorite to win the championship is still Qin Muyang of the First Middle School. He has a peak cultivation base of the 9th heaven of martial arts. Looking at all the contestants, no one is his opponent. He is a rare existence. Not necessarily, that dark horse Xiaoping doesn't seem to be simple either. He made trouble in the qualifiers. If it weren't for him, the people of the First Middle School wouldn't have lost so badly. Is that a dark horse? That's called black-hearted. I have never seen anyone worse than him. In short, I don't think that Xiaoping can win the championship. There is no time for him to use tricks in the ring. If you want to win in the ring, you have to rely on strong combat power. If you really fight, that kid is just a wastewood. He will be knocked down by 3 punches and 2 kicks. That's right. It is said that the shameless Xiaoping usually has more than a dozen boats, has many girlfriends and works day and night. You know that he usually does that thing too much. If that guy wants to win the game, maybe his feet will be soft before he gets out of the arena. Indeed, during the qualifiers under the watchful eyes of the public, he was still picking up girls, and even did some indescribable things with Qianshui City Princess Nangong Wu in the room. Such a shameless person can still win. I will eat shit on the spot for you to see. Yes, I will eat too. Many spectators talked about it, and they all felt that the favorite to win the championship must be Qin Muyang. As for the shameless Xiaoping, it is estimated that he will be eliminated in the top 16. After all, if you want to play in the qualifiers, sometimes it does not mean that you have strong combat power. Especially this kid who purely uses tricks. It is impossible to win in the ring. At this time in the contestants' lounge, the contestants of the top 16 had all appeared in this place. They were all waiting for the start of the competition. After the opening ceremony, they would go outside to compete. However, the lounge was filled with an unusual atmosphere. It was very oppressive and everyone was hostile to each other. After all, they were all competitors. Xiaoping glanced at the other participants. He discovered that other than Jianghu and Chu Rong, there were also 4 people from the First Middle School. The rest were experts from the other schools including Nangong Wu. Even Fatty Feng Hatong had obtained a token and advanced to the top 16. The order of the match is out. A staff member walked in and shouted. He took out a piece of white paper and pasted it on the wall. On it were the opponents of the top 16. Xiaoping looked over and his pupils shrank. His first opponent was actually Lu Liang. Interesting. I didn't expect to meet you in the first game. It was really interesting. Lu Liang glared at Xiaoping fiercely and clenched his fist like a poisonous snake. I will give you a painful lesson in the arena, the kind that you won't forget for the rest of your life. Hearing this, Xiaoping said indifferently, still shouting here? Didn't I give you enough of a lesson just now? Don't you know what's called respect? Did you ask your dad? You dare to provoke me here? To tell you the truth, your Lu family is not qualified. If you want to defeat my Xia family, you're still a few hundred years away. If you have nothing to do, go home and wash up. Don't come here all day to cause trouble. He revealed the appearance of a child from a hidden family. Xia family, my ass. Lu Liang's nose was crooked from anger. In order to investigate this brat's background, he immediately ordered his family to find out whether this brat really had a deep background or not. 10 minutes later, the information came out. He took a look and his face turned green. This guy's so-called Xia family was nothing but a fart. His ancestors for 18 generations were all commoners. His father was a city enforcement officer. His family conditions were extremely ordinary. Even if he had many relatives, none of them were rich. There were only a handful of families with assets of more than $1 million. Even these relatives disdained to associate with Xiaoping's family. They were very unfamiliar with each other. Such a trashy clan dared to call themselves a hidden clan, saying that once they came out into the world, there would be a reign of terror and blood that would flow like rivers. Even his Lu clan was just an ant that could be slaughtered in a single night. He even dared to be so arrogant. Let him go back and ask his father, I'll ask him. Lu Liang was so angry that he smashed a wooden table. He had never been so angry in his life. This was the first time. Thinking that he had really fooled this shameless Xiaoping's words before, Lu Liang was furious. He thought that he was a dignified child of the Lu family, the little overlord of the No. 2 middle school. He was a genius who boasted that he was a genius after Qin Muyang. But now he was fooled by this guy like a fool. If he wasn't cautious, he would have been fooled by this guy. No wonder the people of the number 1 middle school were played so miserably in the qualifiers. This bastard was a complete collection of despicable and shameless people. This bastard's words couldn't even be trusted with punctuation marks. Xia Ping, you can only be stubborn now. Lu Liang gritted his teeth. When I get in the ring, I'll show you. Let's see if you can still talk at that time. Enjoy the next match. There's still a long time. His eyes revealed a trace of cold light like a viper's, which made people's hearts turn cold. Once he stepped into the ring, he decided to beat this kid half to death. He would break at least half of the more than 200 bones in his body. He must seriously injure this kid and make him lie in the hospital for a few months. Otherwise, his name, Lu Liang, would be written upside down from now on. Seeing this scene, Qin Muyang and others were speechless. When did this Xia Ping offend Lu Liang? It felt like the two of them had formed a life-and-death feud. Looking at Lu Liang gnashing his teeth, it was as if he wanted to pounce on Xia Ping and bite him to death. Who knew what kind of evil things Xia Ping had done to Lu Liang? Chu Rong and Jiang Yaru also looked at Xia Ping in annoyance. This bastard's ability to cause trouble was too strong. He had offended someone just by going to the toilet. And it wasn't just an ordinary offense, it was a deadly offense. It was as if he was afraid others wouldn't hate him. This is top quality. Nangongwu was also a bit dazed. Offending Qin Muyang was one thing, but now he actually offended Lu Liang as well. Did this bastard want to offend all the big families in Tianshui City? Big brother is big brother. Too awesome. Feng Hatong was already prostrating himself in admiration towards Xia Ping. He was completely convinced. There was nothing this big brother didn't dare to do. Clang. Chapter 149. In the auditorium. Look, the contestants are coming out. I don't care about anything else. I just want to know when the scumbag Xia Ping will lose the game and be beaten up. Yes, that's why I bought tickets to watch the game live. The opponent of the first game is Lu Liang of the second middle school. It is said that he is a powerhouse at the peak of the 9th heaven of the martial artist. He is second only to Qin Muyang as the favorite to win the championship. He is extremely powerful. Indeed, I have also heard of this kid's reputation. He is famous in the second middle school. He knows the high-level martial arts technique 4 ultimate hands of the spirit snake. His strength is tyrannical, almost no less than Qin Muyang. There were 2 or 3 powerhouses at the 9th heaven of the martial artist realm who besieged him, but they were all beaten down on the spot and sent to the hospital for 3 months. All the bones in his body were broken. No way he is so fierce against the powerhouses of the same level. It seems that Xia Ping is dead. After all, no matter how strong this kid is, he is only at the 8th heaven of the martial artist realm. Look, he will definitely be beaten very badly and beg for mercy on the ring. Many spectators were talking and watching Xia Ping and other contestants enter the arena. Among them, Xia Ping's popularity was overwhelmingly strong, and many spectators were paying attention. Soon, Xia Ping and Lu Liang stood on the ring, and the other contestants also went to their own competition venues. Xia Ping. Lu Liang stared at Xia Ping, his eyes like a poisonous snake, and said coldly, "There is nowhere for you to escape on the ring. To tell you the truth, even if you beg for mercy now, I will not spare you, absolutely not." He clenched his fists and crackled, showing a powerful strength. "Come on, let me see how much you can do." Xia Ping stood with his hands behind his back and looked at Lu Liang faintly, as if he was a martial arts master. Fart. Lu Liang was so angry that he was still here at this time, pretending to be powerful, as if this kid was stronger than himself. Who doesn't know that this kid is only in the 8th heaven of the martial artist realm? And he is a powerhouse in the 9th heaven of the martial artist realm, with 9 meridians through. His strength is tyrannical and his combat power is at least twice that of this kid. How dare he say that? If this kind of sentence is said by a powerhouse in the martial artist realm, it is understandable and even taken for granted, but how can a garbage martial artist have the face to say this kind of thing? Begin. With a bang, the referee at the side immediately rang the bronze bell next to the ring, announcing the start of the match. As soon as he finished speaking, Lu Liang immediately made his move. He couldn't stand this brat for even a second. He wanted nothing more than to beat this guy up and send him to the hospital for treatment. To think that he, a dignified disciple of the Lu clan, was high and mighty, and no one dared to provoke him. Everyone revered him like a god, but he was actually toyed with by this brat like a fool. If he didn't beat this brat to death, he wouldn't be able to vent his anger. Whoosh. First move of the 4 ultimate hands of the spirit snake, incomparably tragic chain strikes. As soon as he made his move, Lu Liang emitted a vicious and cruel aura. His body was like a venomous snake. His left hand turned into a snake's head to bite, and his right hand turned into a snake's tail to attack. His body was like a spirit snake that shot out, filled with explosive power. Every inch of his muscles was exploding, and even his clothes seemed to be slightly unable to endure this force as many cracks appeared. This was the terrifying aspect of the 4 ultimate spiritual serpent hands. Once the enemy was struck, it would be as if a venomous snake had coiled around them and bitten them. Their entire bodies would be torn apart and entangled together, leaving them with nowhere to run. Come on. Xia Ping was unmoved. His spiritual force spread around, and the entire ring seemed to be in his spiritual domain. There was nowhere to hide from any of Lu Liang's movements, and any mystery was clearly seen by him. He gently patted with his palm, which contained a huge force of 10,000 pounds. Boom, the two collided, and a powerful shock immediately broke out, and Lu Liang screamed, and his whole person was knocked back a dozen steps, feeling his blood rolling. But Xia Ping still stood in the same place, motionless. Impossible, with such power, have you been promoted to the 9th heaven of martial disciple? Lu Liang felt this vast and unparalleled power, and his eyes were extremely shocked. No, it's impossible for someone who has just been promoted to the 9th heaven of martial disciple to have this power? You must have been promoted to the 9th heaven of martial disciple realm long ago, but you have been hiding it, pretending to be a pig to eat a tiger, in order to amaze the world on the ring. Despicable, you are too despicable. He seemed to see through all the conspiracies of Xia Ping at once, like Zhuge Liang, who knew Cao Cao's strategy well and understood the other party's trick of pretending to be a pig to eat a tiger. No, I did just break through. Xia Ping looked at Lu Liang with a speechless face. In fact, he didn't have so many conspiracies. It was purely a coincidence. He didn't expect to break through in the qualifiers. Lu Liang didn't believe Xia Ping's words at all and shouted, "Don't lie here, do you think I will be deceived by you? I, Lu Liang, am a smart person. It is absolutely impossible to be deceived by you twice, and I will be deceived a 3rd time. Even if you are a strong man in the 9th heaven of martial disciple, you are still not my opponent." The second style of the 4 ultimate hands of spirit snake, extinction of descendants, extinction of vitality. This move is even more fierce and vicious. When this move is used, it will destroy the enemy's vitality. It can be regarded as a killing move, and it specializes in attacking the enemy's vital points, and the angle is strange and cruel. Go to hell. With a bang, Lu Liang's move broke out in an instant. His feet stepped on the ring, and he actually stepped out 2 deep pits in the footprints at once. The gravel splashed and the sound of kacha-kacha. Immediately, his feet produced a terrifying propulsion force as if his feet were equipped with bombs, and they exploded in an instant. His body ejected out like a snake, tearing the air, which was so fast that it was almost invisible to the naked eye. But the naked eye can't see it doesn't mean that the spiritual force can't detect it. Too slow. Xia Ping made a move in vain, and his palm slammed down from the air, accurately slapping Lu Liang's head. No. Lu Liang was scared. He was originally a killing move to attack Xia Ping's vital points. Who could have thought that he would rush over like this, but it was like sending his head to the opponent to slap. Boom. There was a loud noise in the air, and the palm slapped Lu Liang's head fiercely. The huge force hit his body, and with a bang his body couldn't bear it at all. All of a sudden, his entire body was slammed into the floor of the arena, forming a deep human-shaped pit. The entire arena was shaking, and even the audience in the distant spectator stands could feel the strong vibration. A few people were even thrown into the air by the impact. With a cracking sound, there were 5 or 6 cracks in the ring, and the scene was extremely amazing. Chapter 150. Yu. Lu Liang, lying in the deep pit of the ring, barely raised his head. He felt like a turtle lying on the ground, wanting to move but unable to move. He felt that his body had been hit by this palm, the strength shook, dozens of bones in his body were broken, and there was severe pain all over his body as if being bitten by countless ants. But how can the physical pain compare to the shame in the heart? To think that he was the strongest person in the 2nd middle school, a strong cultivator in the 9th heaven of the martial disciple realm, a disciple of the Lu family, a self-proclaimed genius martial artist, was actually not this kid's opponent. Moreover, with just one palm he was defeated and killed like a fly. How could Lu Liang accept the result of such a game? It was simply unacceptable. Lu Liang. Xia Ping condescendingly looked at Lu Liang, who was lying on the ground, and looked at him like this. Before the game started, you said you would give me a good look. Is this what you want to give me? To be honest, you are not qualified at all. Now I have defeated you with one palm and broken dozens of your bones, just to teach you a lesson, to let you know that there are people better than you, and there are people stronger than you. After the game you will go back to the hospital and be low-key. It is best to live with your tail between your legs and don't make trouble everywhere. Otherwise, if you offend people in the future, even the Lu family can't protect you. His words were like a heavy hammer bombarding Lu Liang's heart. You. Lu Liang was mad and his face was red. This shameless bastard was the same age as him, but he dared to educate him in such a condescending way, telling him to live with his tail between his legs in the future. His Lu family is one of the largest families in Tianshui City, with assets of more than 10 billion yuan. His father is the deputy mayor of Tianshui City. Such power is not inferior to the Nangong family and the Qin family, and he, Lu Liang, is the heir of such a Lu family. But now he was actually reprimanded by this bastard as his own follower and told him not to go out and make trouble casually. How can he stand it? Immediately, his lungs were bursting and his head was almost smoking. Xia Ping, I won't forgive you, die for me. Lu Liang roared, the true qi in his whole body revolved, forcibly stimulating the last of his strength. A terrifying force came from the depths of his body. His whole body suddenly jumped up like a snake. He endured the intense pain in his body and wanted to give Xia Ping a fatal blow. I said, you're not qualified, so you're not qualified. If you want to challenge me, then you're overestimating yourself. Xia Ping's tone was indifferent. Without even looking, he sent out a palm strike. Bang! This palm solidly slapped on Lu Liang's face, immediately leaving a 5-fingered red mark. His whole body spun 5 or 6 times in the air, letting out a shrill scream. With a smack, his body fell to the ground. Even 2 or 3 of his front teeth were broken. He spat out blood and was sent flying more than 10 meters away. You! Lu Liang glared at Xia Ping, and he was finally unable to endure the pain in his body. With a crack, his neck crooked, and he foamed at the mouth before completely fainting. Oh my god, this Xia Ping actually won? Lu Liang is also a powerhouse at the peak of the 9th heaven of the martial disciple realm. He can kill 3 powerhouses of the same level with his bare hands. He is also a genius, but he was defeated by this kid with one palm. He is a bit too strong. No, it's not right. This kid's previous information was only the 8th heaven of the martial disciple realm, but now how did he suddenly become the 9th heaven? How did he become so powerful all of a sudden? Did he take drugs? Take drugs, my ass. If he took drugs, his martial arts foundation is absolutely unstable. How can he be the opponent of the real 9th heaven of the martial disciple? Didn't you hear what Lu Liang said just now? This guy is pretending to be a pig to eat a tiger. He deliberately concealed his cultivation and wanted to amaze the world in the ring. Sure enough, he saw the effect here. Despicable, this Xia Ping is too despicable. His despicable nature has penetrated into the bone marrow. It is estimated that Lu Liang didn't think of this. He was frightened by the power that this kid suddenly showed. He panicked for a moment and didn't expect to be hit. One move lost, the whole game is lost. It's the same as playing chess. Shameless Xia Ping, this was calculated by him. Lu Liang lost too unjustly. Many spectators were talking about it. They were all angry at Xia Ping's despicable calculation. They thought that if Xia Ping hadn't concealed his cultivation, it was estimated that Lu Liang would not have panicked and lost the game because of carelessness. Seeing this scene, the students of the first middle school were also in an uproar. Damn, this kid is really a powerhouse in the 9th heaven of the martial disciple realm. Fortunately, Big Brother Qin went to test it before, otherwise he would have been calculated by this kid. Shameless Xia Ping, there are schemes everywhere. How can there be such a despicable person in 95th middle school? This kind of scheme can't be put on the table at all. Once it is exposed, it is nothing more than this. Indeed, under absolute strength, this kid is simply vulnerable. That's right. You must know that Big Brother Qin is more than several times stronger than before. Once this kid and Big Brother Qin go against each other, he will definitely die miserably, very miserably. All the students of the first middle school gnashed their teeth and stared at Xia Ping. They were all eliminated because of Xia Ping's scheme. It was conceivable how angry they were with Xia Ping. All of them wished that someone could defeat Xia Ping immediately and eliminate this kid. Unfortunately, Lu Liang, who had high hopes, was defeated by a palm and completely ruined their hope. This game Xia Ping wins. Seeing Lu Liang fall to the ground and completely unconscious, the referee next to him immediately announced the result of the game. Whoosh whoosh whoosh. Under the ring, several doctors in white coats immediately rushed up. Their movements were very fast and skillful. They immediately dragged the unconscious Lu Liang away and pulled him down for emergency treatment. 1. I didn't expect Xia Ping to win. I didn't expect that someone in our school could enter the top 8. In the history of the entire Tianshui City 95th Middle School, there are only a handful of people. Of course, there has never been a champion. Do you think this Xia Ping has a chance to win the championship? Impossible. Qin Muyang is too strong. This Xia Ping is simply vulnerable in front of such a genius. Even so, this Xia Ping can be considered to have made history. Damn it, I didn't expect that the guy who created the history of 95th Middle School was actually a scumbag who stepped on more than a dozen boats. I don't know if this is an honor or a black history. When the students of Tianshui City 95th Middle School saw this scene, they all seemed to have overturned the bottle of flavors. There were all kinds of ups and downs and they didn't know what to feel. Although they despised this guy's character very much, they had to admit that it was amazing that Xia Ping could come this far. I didn't expect that when we talked on the road, he said that he was going to be admitted to Yanhuang University. At first I thought it was a joke, but now it seems that it may come true. Chapter 151. Ding ling ling. Just as Xia Ping was preparing for the quarterfinals in the afternoon, his father, Xia Chuanlu, suddenly called. Hello Dad, what's the matter? Xia Ping took out his cell phone and answered. Xia Chuanlu shouted, Son, congratulations on entering the quarterfinals. I just want to ask you one thing. Do you have a chance to win the championship this time? Of course there is a chance, but why do you ask about this? Xia Ping asked curiously. Xia Chuanlu smiled. Son, you don't know, this year's Tianshui City High School fighting competition has been favored by the betting company. Because it is very popular, almost the whole city is paying attention to it. So the betting company opened to bet on who will win the championship. The lowest odds are Qin Muyang 1 o'clock. 5 and the highest is you 110. Hearing this, Xia Ping blinked his eyes and said, Dad, do you want to gamble? Of course. Xia Chuanlu said excitedly, if I bet on you to win it's 110. Although your father is poor, he has accumulated for 20 years and has at least 200,000 or 300,000 in savings. If I win this time I will get 3 million federal coins. There is no such good opportunity to make money now. After that, your mother and I will travel around the world and play as much as we want. He was proud of himself. But you are the family of the contestants. Isn't it against the rules to gamble like this? Xia Ping said. Xia Chuanlu shook his head. Don't worry, as long as I bet on you to win, it's not against the rules. Okay, then let's bet. I have the confidence to win the championship. Xia Ping said confidently. Xia Chuanlu immediately said, I know you are very good, son, then I will believe you this time. After that, he hung up the phone excitedly, probably planning to bet. Betting company? Xia Ping's eyes flashed. With a beep, he immediately turned on his mobile phone, virtual projection, and immediately searched for the Tianshui City Betting Company page. There was indeed gambling on this Tianshui City High School fighting competition. And it was also very popular. Many people left messages on this page, seemingly guessing who would win the championship. He glanced at the odds. As expected, he had the highest odds. No one was optimistic about him winning the championship. Even if he defeated Lu Liang, the odds did not change at all. By the way, the Heavenly Water City Gambling Company is a legitimate company that has been recognized by the federal government. It is said that they are extremely wealthy and have a market value of tens of billions of federal coins. Xia Ping's eyes flickered. If that's the case, it's not strange that the people in this company know that Qin Muyang has advanced to the martial warrior realm. If that was the case, it was no wonder that the odds had not changed at all. After all, it was simply impossible for a martial disciple to defeat a martial disciple. The odds for him to win were 1 to 10, which was understandable. Interesting. Xia Ping clenched his fists. This is a great opportunity to make a fortune. If I throw 40 million federal dollars down and win, wouldn't I have to compensate me 400 million federal dollars? How many books would I have to sell to earn it back? I'll bet. I have to bet. To be honest, he was also tempted. No one would dislike having too much money, especially when there was a chance to easily earn hundreds of millions of federal dollars. Only a fool would give up. Moreover, the Heavenly Water City Gambling Company was a legitimate company. They would never renege on their debts, and there was no need to worry about the other party not being able to pay after the bet. Of course, if the bet was too high, the gambling company would probably refuse. 40 million federal dollars happened to be a number that was neither too high nor too low. Even if there was compensation, the other party could afford it. Thinking of this, Xia Ping immediately logged into the website and quickly registered. Then he bound his ID card, bank card, and signed a contract with the effect of federal law. Ding. He immediately bet 40 million federal dollars that he would win the competition. After doing all this, Xia Ping let out a sigh of relief. He clenched his fists. It seemed that it was impossible for him not to win the championship this time. He couldn't let these 40 million federal dollars go to waste. Moreover, once he won the championship of the fighting competition, he would receive huge benefits. 400 million federal dollars was a fortune that many people couldn't earn in their entire lives. At this time, at the headquarters of the Jianghu City Gambling Company, an employee immediately received a huge bet. "Boss, someone bet 40 million federal dollars that Xia Ping will win," an employee exclaimed. Is he crazy? He clearly knows that the kid's chances of winning are zero. He's just throwing his money away. As an internal employee, he naturally knew Qin Muyang's true strength. There was no doubt that he would win this competition. Haha, too stupid. The boss of the gambling company next to him said proudly, "This is simply giving us money. We got 40 million federal dollars for nothing. How can there be such a simple business in the world that can make money? This can only be gambling. Boss, I think it's better to be careful." The other party dared to bet 40 million federal dollars. I reckon that his background isn't small. He might know some inside information. Another vice president said vigilantly. He was a more cautious person. Inside information, my ass. Is there anyone who knows more inside information than us? The boss of the gambling company said disdainfully, "I believe you also know that Qin Muyang is a martial artist. This is already a strength that surpasses the other contestants. How can he lose?" If this Qin Muyang was a commoner, perhaps I would be worried that he might cheat, accept bribes, and pretend to lose to other contestants. But Qin Muyang is a member of the Qin family. His assets are over 10 billion. Would he care about this little bit of money? Is it worth it to risk losing the entire Qin family's face for a little reputation? He analyzed one by one, full of confidence. "Boss, we know the identity of the person who bet. Xia Ping. That guy bet on himself." The employee continued to investigate and also found out the identity of the person who bet. It's actually Xia Ping? That kid is said to be a commoner. His father is just a city enforcement officer. How can he take out 40 million federal dollars? The vice president was dumbfounded and in disbelief. It's actually Xia Ping. The boss of the gambling company laughed out loud. What an idiot. Who cares where he got so much money from? Anyway, this kid is giving us money. How can we not accept it? This kid probably saw that our company thought that his chances of winning were slim and the odds were very high. He was indignant and threw 40 million federal dollars over. Young people are young people. Our Jianghu City Gambling Company can exist for hundreds of years and make a lot of profits every year. How can we not have some tricks? In order to obtain accurate odds, we even clearly investigated how many pieces of toilet paper the contestants used each time they went to the toilet. This kid still wants to overturn the heavens. He wants to give us money, so we'll fulfill his wish. The others also nodded. No one thought that this kid could win. Xia Ping was probably so confident because he thought that Qin Muyang, who was at the same level as him, was no match for him. That was why he was so indignant and thought that he could get a big bargain. Chapter 152. In the afternoon, the top 8. Xia Ping stood on the stage and looked at his opponent. It was Jianghu. He didn't expect Jianghu to be able to defeat an opponent at the 9th heavenly layer and advance to the top 8. After all, Jianghu had only just advanced to the 8th heavenly layer. It could only be said that Jianghu's aptitude was more powerful than he imagined. Challenging someone at a higher level was a piece of cake. Even Chu Rong was the same. She also defeated an expert from the first middle school and successfully advanced to the top 8. However, her opponent in the top 8 was Qin Muyang, so she basically had no hope of advancing to the top 4. I finally waited for the chance to fight you. Jiang Yaru's beautiful eyes were full of fighting spirit as she stared at Xia Ping. Although this bastard was hated by everyone in school, she had to admit that his strength was indeed very amazing. She had clearly seen this when she was in the Beast Island trial. That group of vicious and cruel criminals were all beheaded by this man. This was not something that an ordinary martial artist could do. But she was unwilling. She was clearly stronger than this guy before, but now he had actually surpassed her. How could Jiang Yaru be convinced? And she had this confidence. Even if Xia Ping advanced to the 9th heavenly layer, she was confident that she could defeat him. The previous opponent was also an expert at the 9th heavenly layer, but didn't he still lose to her? Sorry. Xia Ping looked at Jiang Yaru. I can't lose to you this time. After all, I still have to make money to support my family. So this time, you should obediently admit defeat. If you want to force it, it's fine. I will be gentle and won't hurt you. His eyes were extremely serious. After all, he had bet 40 million federal coins this time. Once he won, he would get 400 million federal coins. No matter what, he couldn't lose. Hearing this, the surrounding audience was in an uproar. What's going on? Why do I feel like something's wrong when I hear this conversation? Indeed, what do you mean I will be gentle and won't hurt you? Isn't this what I said when I went to get a room with my girlfriend for the first time? Could it be that these two were flirting on the stage? Hooking up with each other? There's still a need to hook up with these two. They've been together for a long time. You may not know that these two are boyfriend and girlfriend. No way, didn't they say that this Xia Ping and Nanggongwu had an affair? They even booked a room during the qualifiers. What's the big deal? I heard that the woman is pregnant for 3 months. What a beast. Isn't he just a high school student? Impregnating your girlfriend? Do you still have any humanity left? No wonder he told me to be gentle. He's afraid of affecting the fetus. Many spectators discussed animatedly. They were all shocked by this gossip. Even if they were beaten to death, they would never have thought that the man and woman on the arena were in a relationship. Moreover, they were 3 months pregnant. What kind of explosive news was this? When some of the reporters heard this news, their eyes lit up and they were extremely excited. This was big news. A high school girl was pregnant and she was even a contestant in the quarterfinals, a top student in the school. This kind of news, no matter which one it was, would be explosive and would definitely bombard the entire Tianshui city. At that time, wouldn't the click rate of their news website rise steadily? A promotion, a raise, and a year-end bonus were all in the cards. They even thought of the headlines. Shocking, high school girl pregnant, father unknown, male contestant in the quarterfinals abandoned, pregnant girl chased up to the arena. Ridiculous, who's at fault for getting pregnant before marriage? The sad song of an underage girl. 1 corpse with 2 lives, girlfriend's revenge in the arena. You. Jiang Yaru heard the surrounding crowd's words and was immediately angered half to death. Her charming face turned red as she glared at this hateful Xia Ping. It was all because of this bastard's nonsense that she ended up like this. It seemed that in this arena competition, not only did she have to defeat this bastard, she also had to ruthlessly teach him a lesson. Otherwise he wouldn't know what to say and what not to say. Match start. The referee immediately announced the start of the match. Boom, as soon as the referee finished speaking, Jiang Yaru made her move. Her first move was like a thunderbolt. High-level martial skill, 1,000 Buddha palms. In the blink of an eye, her body had transformed into thousands of palms, real and fake. She was like a Buddha, exuding a sacred, solemn and dignified aura. A terrifying force surged from her feet, and when she stomped down, 2 deep footprints appeared. A terrifying force exploded out, setting off a fierce gale in the entire arena. Amazing, this girl has actually learned the 1,000 Buddha palms. How is that possible? It's said that even among the countless high-level martial skills, this 1,000 Buddha palms is enough to rank in the top 10. Its power is tyrannical, and once learned, jumping levels to challenge is a piece of cake. No wonder she could easily defeat a 9th heavenly layer martial disciple before. Once she uses this 1,000 Buddha palms, the 1,000 hands will fuse together and countless forces will be blended together. With a single palm strike, the power is more than 10 times stronger than ordinary martial skills. That 9th heavenly layer martial disciple from before was like this. He was hit by a palm strike and let out a blood-curdling scream. Over a dozen of his ribs were broken and he couldn't resist at all. But it's too difficult to learn this martial skill. Just the complexity of the moves alone is enough to make a person's head explode. It's hard to even remember it, let alone learn it. Without peerless talent, you can't even understand it at all. Such a character is actually just a student of the 95th high school. It's not surprising even if he went to the first high school. Many of the audience were shocked. They didn't expect Jianghu to be able to use such a powerful martial skill. Martial arts cultivation is not the same as literature. In literature there are 1,000 Hamlets in 1,000 people. Everyone's taste is different, and different people have different opinions on the good and bad of different works. But whether martial arts cultivation is strong or not, it's clear at a glance and there's no way to fake it. Boom, when the countless palms on Jianghu's body merged together, the power almost reached its peak. In an instant she stepped out and faced forward towards Xia Ping's chest with a palm, tearing the air. Dong. This palm hit Xia Ping's chest solidly, like a morning bell and evening drum, bursting out with a crisp and sweet sound, and the ground of the arena was shaken by the terrifying force. And the ground under Xia Ping's feet also shook out a deep pit, making a cracking sound. The power of such a palm, even an ordinary ninth heaven martial disciple powerhouse can't resist it. One palm can be slapped out, directly injuring the lungs and breaking the ribs. Damn, this girl is ruthless. Is it because this shameless Xia Ping abandoned her, and now that she finally found the opportunity, she used this palm to beat Xia Ping half to death? Is this the legendary love turned into hate? A group of people were shocked and dumbfounded. They could all see that this move was by no means fake. It was a peak blow, comparable to the full blow of a ninth heaven martial disciple powerhouse. What? The audience was shocked, but Jianghu was even more shocked than them. That was because his peak palm strike had landed on Xia Ping's body. The palm strike of the 1,000 Buddha palms was incomparably ferocious, but it was as if he had struck a ball of cotton. Chapter 153. How is this possible? Jianghu couldn't believe her eyes at all. She was extremely confident in her own strength. Even if she faced a real ninth heaven of martial disciple realm expert, she had the confidence to fight. In the top 16 competition, she defeated the opponent in 3 moves, which was proof. But when her peak blow hit this man, the other party was not affected at all, and he couldn't even take a few steps back. Although when she was on Beast Island, she had seen the power of this man's body protection art. At that time, the last blow of the cheetah group leader, Lin Bao, could not cause any damage to him. But without experiencing it herself, she couldn't imagine the despair Lin Bao felt before his death. This kind of body protection art was too abnormal and unreasonable. What? Not convinced? I stand here and let you hit me, but you can't make me take half a step back? Xia Ping looked at Jianghu with a smile, showing a calm and composed look. He also admitted that Jianghu was indeed a genius. The fact that she could learn the Buddha's 1,000 Buddha hands was enough to prove the strength of this woman. The previous ninth heaven of martial disciple realm contestant losing the game was not an injustice. But if she wanted to break through the defense of his Dark North body protection art, she didn't know how far away it was. At least when she was promoted to the martial warrior realm, she would probably be qualified to try. Damn, I don't believe that your defense is really so invincible. Jianghu was unwilling, biting her lips with her white teeth, and her eyes showed a raging fire of fighting intent. The Buddha's 1,000 Buddha hands, Buddha lights 1,000 lamps. Her hands danced and her white palms seemed to emit a layer of white light, containing terrifying power. Endless true qi gathered in her palms, producing extremely terrifying destructive power. At this moment, her body seemed to be covered with a layer of white light, looking incomparably sacred, as if people could hear a Buddha singing. Bang bang bang. In just a breath, Jianghu's thousands of palms bombarded Xia Ping's body, making a series of explosive sounds, cracking the eardrum and shaking the ring. A lot of dust immediately appeared all around, covering the sky and the sun, covering the entire ring. The surrounding audience were all dumbstruck, scared half to death. Could it be that this girl really wanted to kill Xia Ping? If that was the case, wouldn't she be murdering her husband? Even a ninth heavenly layer martial disciple would be beaten to a pulp. The contestant who had lost to Jianghu previously still felt a little unconvinced, thinking that he had lost because of his carelessness. However, when he saw the profound meaning of this martial skill, he was so scared that he peed his pants. His face turned pale. If this woman had used this move on the arena just now, he would probably have to stay in the hospital for a month. Even the nutrient solution would not be able to shorten the treatment time. Enough. Xia Ping stretched out his hand, and with a bang he pierced through the countless palm projections to block Jiang Yaru's attack. Grabbing her, he pulled her into his arms. Bastard, what do you want? Jiang Yaru was both embarrassed and angry at the same time. Her face was completely red, almost like a tomato. She wanted to struggle with all her might, but Xia Ping's strength was just too great. He held her tightly, making it impossible for her to break free. Most importantly, in order to use the profound meaning of the 1,000 Buddha hands, she had exhausted all the true qi in her body. Her entire body was weak and powerless. After all, this kind of profound meaning, even if she had advanced to the 9th heavenly layer of the martial disciple realm, she could only barely use it. Now that she used it like this, it consumed all the strength in her body and consumed her blood. It was precisely because he saw this that Xia Ping stopped her. Otherwise, after this move was used, Jiang Yaru would probably be unable to move for a week, lying on a hospital bed. You're still asking me what I want? Xia Ping stared at Jiang Yaru. You clearly don't have the strength to use this move, but you still forced it to. Do you want to ruin your martial Dao career? Even if you want to be strong, you still have to know your own limits, understand? His tone was extremely harsh. Jiang Yaru felt very guilty. She also knew that she shouldn't have used this move, but thinking that she couldn't even make Xia Ping take half a step back, how could she be willing? All of a sudden, blood rushed to her head and she used this move. She couldn't control her emotions at all. At this time, the smoke dissipated, immediately revealing the scene on the arena. Many of the audience immediately saw Jiang Yaru like a little bird, her face red, being hugged by Xia Ping. Holy shit, in these few short seconds just what happened? One of the audience was dumbfounded. Just now she was fighting to the death and now she's like a little bird and even hugging. This is too unscientific, I thought it was an illusion. Indeed, just now this girl's moves were so fierce like a violent bear, but now she's like a little bird. How can a woman change so much? It's very unscientific. I just want to know what method this Xia Ping used. Did he drug her? To be able to control an out-of-control female T-Rex is no less difficult than controlling a nuclear bomb that is about to explode. I feel the same. Many of the audience were discussing, all looking at the scene on the arena in shock, completely unable to understand this situation. Amazing, the young people these days are amazing. Their methods of training women have reached the acme of perfection. An uncle sighed. Just now, it was obvious that this woman was jealous and she was throwing a tantrum, but this kid is still not afraid. He has long seen through the nature of women. As soon as he makes his move, he hugs the woman so she can't struggle, and then gives her a wet kiss, kissing her until she can't think, and then all her anger is gone and everything is settled. For some unreasonable women, 1 kiss is enough. If it really doesn't work, then 2 kisses. If it still doesn't work, then he can only use his ultimate weapon, directly rolling in the sheets. He revealed an experienced look, as if he had completely seen through the truth of the matter. Uncle, you look like you have a lot of experience. The surrounding people were very impressed. This kind of method was not something people like them, who didn't have a girlfriend, could understand. They only knew how to buy gifts to coax people. The uncle waved his hand, his face full of sorrow. Well said, well said. Back in the day, I was also the most handsome man in school, an unparalleled ferocious man with a foot on a dozen boats. But then one mistake caused everlasting sorrow, and I married a 300-pound wife. The corner of his eyes turned red, as if he had remembered something that he couldn't bear to recall. Uncle, I have wine here, I want to hear how you lost your footing. Say it, and let us be happy. What is there to be depressed about? If you don't spit it out, you won't feel happy. I am willing to listen. Some of the audience were very gossipy, looking at the uncle in front of them. Chapter 154. Cough, cough. Seeing that Xia Ping and Jiang Yaru were still hugging each other, the judge couldn't stand it anymore. He coughed a few times and said, "You two, if you want to show off your love, please go somewhere else. This is the arena, and the competition is still ongoing. Pay attention to your image." He very tactfully reminded the two. In an instant, Jiang Yaru's face turned red like a tomato. She also realized how unbearable her current position was in front of others. And this was a live broadcast. Wouldn't her actions be known by everyone in Qianshui City? Bastard. Jiang Yaru was half dead from anger. She was extremely embarrassed and angry. She punched Xiaoping's chest. If it weren't for this guy, she wouldn't have lost face in front of so many people. Unfortunately, her body was weak right now. This kind of punch was more like a spoiled child. Oh my god, do people still want to live? Flirting in the arena. Why are the high school students nowadays so shameless? Is there a teacher who can control this? This is puppy love. Hurry up and catch them and criticize them. Make them write letters of regret. Too cute. Why does this shameless Xiaoping have such a cute girlfriend? All the women in the world have been stolen by scum men. There's no way for us honest people to live. Explode. I pray to the heavens that Xiaoping immediately explodes. Many people in the audience were howling in grief and anger. Some men even wanted to go up and beat Xiaoping up. This kind of action brought them a lot of harm. Hearing these words, Jianghu was even more embarrassed. She turned to the judge and said, I admit defeat. At this point she also knew that she couldn't win against Xiaoping. She might as well admit defeat. Otherwise, if she continued on the arena, who knew how many people would gossip about her? Xiaoping wins. Hearing this, the judge immediately announced the result. Bastard, hurry up and let me go. Jianghu said to Xiaoping in anger. She pushed him away and angrily walked off the arena, quickly leaving the audience's line of sight. Xiaoping shrugged. He could only let Jianghu leave by herself. After another hour, the winners of the quarterfinals were decided one after another. The winners were Qin Muyang, Nangong Wu, a student from the first middle school, and Xiaoping. In the end, Chu Rong lost to Qin Muyang and was eliminated from the top 8. His opponent in the semi-finals is Nangong Wu? This is interesting. Xiaoping looked at the order of the matches and immediately discovered that his opponent in the semi-finals tomorrow was Nangong Wu. If he defeated Nangong Wu, he would meet Qin Muyang in the finals. The second day arrived quickly and the semi-finals were about to begin. At this time, the entire Qinshui City audience was paying attention. After all, this was the semi-finals and the real finals would be held in the afternoon. The champion of this year's fighting competition would be decided. In addition, the betting companies were adding fuel to the fire, constantly placing advertisements on television and increasing the publicity, causing this year's competition to be unprecedentedly popular. Countless viewers were paying close attention to it. On the stage, Xiaoping and Nangong Wu looked at each other. Xiaoping. Nangong Wu looked at Xiaoping in front of her with a very calm expression, as if she had completely forgotten what happened in the qualifiers. You are indeed powerful. According to my current martial arts cultivation, I'm probably not your opponent. After seeing Xiaoping compete a few times, coupled with the collision in the qualifiers, although Nangong Wu was very confident in herself, she also knew that she was not this man's opponent. This was not because she felt inferior but because she knew her limits. So, I admit defeat in this match. At this point, Nangong Wu turned her head and said to the referee, Admit defeat? Xiaoping blinked his eyes, not knowing how to react. When the referee heard this, he was dumbfounded. They were already in the semifinals, but there was actually someone who admitted defeat before the fight began? This was unprecedented. After all, no matter how weak he was, he had to try to know. The protagonist of this competition is not me. I'm looking forward to your encounter with Qin Muyang. Who is stronger? Nangong Wu took a deep look at Xiaoping. Ignoring the referee, she turned around and left the ring, choosing to admit defeat. Seeing this, the referee had no choice but to announce, Nangong Wu admits defeat, Xiaoping wins. Suddenly, the audience in the arena and even the audience on TV exploded in disbelief. Admit defeat? Nangong Wu actually chose to admit defeat. The fight hasn't even started. Is this a joke? It's a shady business. There's definitely a shady business here. Let me tell you. Someone has already revealed that Nangong Wu is this Xiaoping's girlfriend. In the qualifiers, she couldn't bear the loneliness and directly got a room with him. The two have been together for a long time. How could they fight? And this Nangong Wu isn't this shameless Xiaoping's only girlfriend. That Jianghu from 95th High is also one. He even had a dozen or so girlfriends. Scumbag to the extreme. It's already too much to have a girlfriend, but he actually has more than a dozen. Is this bastard even human? The reason why there are so many bachelors in our generation is because of this person who occupies the latrine but doesn't shit in it. These words are crude, aren't they? The audience was in an uproar. Everyone was shouting that there was an inside story. The crowd was surging. Damn it. In the quarterfinals, he met the number 1 girlfriend. In the semifinals, he met the number 2 girlfriend. Why is this brat's life so good? He's basically guaranteed to enter the finals. There's no justice in this world. What kind of competition is this? It's basically a girlfriend exhibition. Does no one care about this kind of blatant cheating? In the long run, is there still any fairness in this high school dueling competition? Maybe this Xia Ping is the predetermined champion. Even the mayor has been bribed. Doesn't that mean that Qin Muyang will lose for sure? Even the Qin family submitted to this brat's power. Just what is this brat's background? Could he be the president's son? I heard that his father is a city enforcement officer. He has a government background. Many of the audience were discussing. Some of the people who had bet on Nangang Wu to win were even more furious. This time all their money had gone down the drain. How could they not be angry? They even had thoughts of killing Xia Ping. However, there were also people who had investigated Xia Ping's background. He was a completely ordinary person. Many people's families were even better off than his. They were all dumbfounded. They didn't know how this brat managed to cheat in the competition. Could it be that he relied purely on the abilities of a gigolo? Did he rely on living off women to reach this level? If that was the case, then his ability to pick up girls was a bit too strong. But no matter what, they couldn't stop Xia Ping from advancing to the finals. In the afternoon, everyone's attention was focused on the finals of this high school dueling competition. Qin Muyang had also defeated his opponent and successfully advanced to the finals. Chapter 155. On the arena of the finals, everyone was watching. Xia Ping. Qin Muyang stared at Xia Ping standing in front of him, his eyes red. Finally, the match between you and me is here. Very good, very good. You were not defeated by others but stood in front of me unscathed. This is worthy of praise. Do you know how long I have endured waiting for this opportunity? 2 days, a full 2 days. I have never endured for so long in my life. But in order to defeat you in front of the entire Tianshui city and completely trample you under my feet, I still endured. He would never forget the humiliation this bastard brought to him in the qualifiers. If it weren't for this guy called Xia Ping, Qin Muyang wouldn't have been beaten up so badly. He would have been ganged up on by dozens of people and beaten into a pig's head. Even his own father wouldn't have been able to recognize him. Not to mention that this guy actually dared to seduce Nangang Wu in front of so many people and make a scandal. Who in the entire Tianshui city didn't know that he liked Nangang Wu? Nangang Wu had long become his exclusive. But this kid actually dared to let Nangang Wu dance alone for him. This was simply wearing a green hat on his head. If Qin Muyang could still endure such humiliation, he would be a tortoise for 10,000 years. Who would look up to him, Qin Muyang, and who would give face to the Qin family? Although I understand what you are feeling right now, it is impossible for you to defeat me. I will definitely win this match. Xia Ping stood with his hands behind his back and looked at Qin Muyang calmly. He had the bearing of a grandmaster. Definitely win? Hearing this, Qin Muyang immediately laughed. He laughed very loudly. Who gave you such confidence? Do you really think you are invincible after defeating a few experts in the 9th heaven of the martial disciple realm and defeating trash like Lu Liang? Do you not even put me, Qin Muyang, in your eyes? Boom! As soon as his voice fell, an extremely powerful aura erupted from his body. A terrifying force erupted from his feet, instantly shattering the arena and forming 2 huge deep pits. A terrifying wave of primary energy spread out from Qin Muyang's body, seemingly covering his entire body. His aura kept rising, and he looked like a small mountain twisting the air around him. It can't be. Qin Muyang can actually release his vital energy. Could he have advanced to the martial warrior realm? A knowledgeable audience member immediately jumped up in shock, looking at Qin Muyang's actions in disbelief. According to his knowledge, only a martial realm expert was capable of accomplishing this. He has advanced to the martial artist realm? No way, is this Qin Muyang a pervert? He's only a high school student, yet he has already advanced to the martial warrior realm. This is heaven-defying. An audience member was also shocked. They all knew how difficult it was to advance to the martial warrior realm and achieve the ability to release true energy. Even ordinary martial artists would need to spend decades before they had the opportunity to break through. Some people might not even have a chance in their entire lives. They could only be stuck in this realm, unable to break through in this lifetime. However, Qin Muyang had broken through to the martial artist realm at the age of 18. If this was not heaven-defying, what was? No wonder Qin Muyang is so confident. It turns out that he has advanced to the martial warrior realm. This Xiaoping is finished. No matter how heaven-defying his strength is, it is simply impossible for him to defeat a martial warrior realm expert. Not to mention defeating him, it would be amazing if he could even hurt a hair of a martial warrior realm expert. This Xiaoping is finished. He will be defeated by Qin Muyang with one punch. There is no hope of winning at all. Poor Xiaoping. With his ability to pick up girls, he smoothly advanced all the way to the finals. He originally thought that he could shine, but he did not expect to encounter a peerless genius, Qin Muyang. The gap is too big. He was completely crushed. As expected of the #1 high school in Tianshui City. It is indeed a king's school. Its foundation is too deep. It is simply a dream for other schools to win the championship. The chances are almost zero. Many of the audience were shocked again and again. They were completely shocked by the strength that Qin Muyang had displayed. What did an 18-year-old martial artist realm expert mean? He was a future martial arts grandmaster with a promising future. He was a rare genius that only appeared once in a decade. And this Qin Muyang was such a genius. Shameless, the gambling company is extremely shameless. No wonder the odds of Qin Muyang winning are so low. It seems that they have long known Qin Muyang's true strength, so they did this. I said that the gambling company's odds of Qin Muyang winning are so low. There is indeed something fishy about it. It is more difficult to make money from this gambling company than to ascend to heaven. The older, the wiser. I was cheated by the gambling company again. I originally thought that I could win with a small bet this time. I wanted to bet on Xiaoping to win and get 10 times the bonus. I didn't expect to lose again. If you want to cheat money from the gambling company, you might as well rob it. Gambling is harmful. If you gamble for a lifetime, it will bring disaster to 3 generations of your family. Everyone should take this as a warning. A group of gamblers was shouting and cursing. All of their faces were green. They were all people who had bet on Xiaoping to win. They originally wanted to make a lot of money, but they did not expect to be cheated. However, there were also some people who bet on Qin Muyang to win. After all, the odds were laid out, and many people knew that there was something fishy about it. Now it seemed that it was true. Qin Muyang hid his strength and was promoted to the martial warrior realm. Seeing this scene, the boss of the gambling company and others were all triumphant. This time they made a lot of money. It seems that Xiaoping lost this time. Below the audience, Chu Rong, Jianghu and others shook their heads and sighed. If everyone was a powerhouse in the 9th heaven of martial disciple, they might still be able to fight, but the gap between the martial disciple realm and the martial warrior realm is too big. The attack power of the true Qi alone is more than 10 times stronger. How can they fight? It's simply bullying the noobs. It's fate. Xiaoping can only blame himself for encountering a monster. It's not the fault of the battle. The head teacher, Qiushu, also shook her head. Although it was a little regretful, Xiaoping being able to go to the final was far beyond her expectations. Even if he lost the game here, it was enough to win supreme glory for 95th high school. Haha, this shameless Xiaoping finally lost. Great, finally someone can stop this bastard. If we really let this guy win the championship, I don't know how far he will go. When we go back to school, there will be no place for us. Wouldn't all of us have to rely on his breath to survive? Fortunately, there are still capable people in Tianshui City. We can't let this bastard continue to be arrogant. God has eyes, God has a spirit. Xiong Badian and others who had been harmed by Xiaoping all looked up to the sky and sighed, tears streaming down their faces. Finally, there was a righteous man who stood up to stop this bastard. What a blessing it was. Chapter 156. At this time, in a VIP room of the Tianshui City Stadium, a group of big shots was watching the competition. They watched the arena through the video and just watched quietly. When they saw Qin Muyang reveal his martial warrior realm cultivation, they were all shocked. He was only 18 years old, but he had already advanced to the martial warrior realm. This kind of cultivation was really amazing. Mayor Qin, your son is amazing. He will definitely become a martial Dao grandmaster in the future. It will be easy for him to strengthen the Qin family. Several Tianshui City family patriarchs said to Mayor Qin Fei. Compared to their descendants, the gap was too big. You're too kind, you're too kind. It's just an insignificant achievement. It's not worth mentioning, it's not worth mentioning. Hearing this, Mayor Qin Fei was very proud of himself. He felt very comfortable in his heart, but he still spoke humbly, because there was a real big shot here. In front of such a big shot, if he was too arrogant at this time, he was afraid that he would leave a bad impression. Indeed, he is talented. The white-clothed old man sitting in front nodded slightly. Even though he had seen countless genius martial artists, he also admitted that Qin Muyang was talented and would have a good future. Thank you for the praise, Elder Fong. Mayor Qin Fei was immediately overjoyed. If his son was favored by Elder Fong, he would probably immediately fly up the branch and become a phoenix. His future was probably boundless. The other Qinshui city family patriarchs were all envious and jealous. They could actually get Elder Fong's praise, but they couldn't do anything about it. Who asked them to not have such an outstanding descendant? At this time in the arena, hearing the cheers of the audience around him, Qin Muyang was even more proud. He looked up to the sky and shouted, "Do you hear this? Do you hear this kind of cheers? Do you hear this kind of support? Xiaoping, you are simply evil. Defeating you here is what everyone is looking forward to. You are such an antagonist. And I, Qin Muyang, will completely defeat you and become a hero. I will be the focus of everyone's attention and become the champion." He had already written his script. In front of the countless spectators of Qinshui City, he would completely defeat Xiaoping, trample him to death, humiliate Xiaoping's dignity, beat him like a dead dog, and display his invincible martial arts cultivation base. He would let the entire Qinshui City know, and most importantly, let Nangong Wu know what kind of man was worthy of her and what kind of man was qualified to stand by her side. Want to defeat me? You need to have the ability to do so. Xiaoping looked at Qin Muyang indifferently. He was unmoved and still looked as calm as ever. You're still pretending? Seeing that Xiaoping was still as calm as ever, Qin Muyang was instantly enraged. He thought that this brat was still pretending to be cool at a time like this. This made him extremely angry. However, he also knew that some people were like this. They would not shed tears until they saw the coffin, and Xiaoping was also such a person. Xiaoping, do you know what the warrior realm is? Qin Muyang looked up to the sky and roared. His face was ferocious. Through the Baihui acupoint, releasing True Qi 100 Steps Divine Fist, True Qi is incomparably dense. His strength is more than 10 times stronger than the martial disciple realm. This is the martial disciple realm, possessing strength far above the martial disciple realm. I can beat 100 trash like you in the 9th heaven of the martial disciple realm. He stretched out a finger and stared at Xiaoping. He sneered, "You said that if I want to defeat you, I have to have the ability? Are you kidding me? If the strong in the martial disciple realm don't have the ability, do you think the weak in the martial disciple realm have the ability? To tell you the truth, I only need one finger to defeat you now. In a breath, I can beat you like a dead dog. You won't be able to move your body. Do you know that? Even like this, you still dare to pretend to be calm in front of me. You are simply courting death." With a bang, as soon as the voice fell, the referee immediately rang the competition bell and announced the start of the competition. Go to hell. In an instant, Qin Muyang moved. He could not stand Xiaoping for a second. When he saw this bastard's face, he wanted to immediately beat him into a dead dog. Profound art of the 5 ultimate killing hands, dismemberment of the world. With a slap, True Qi was released. Shockingly, the Qi vibrated and turned into countless blades, cutting through the air. The entire arena seemed to be torn in half by this Qi. Many of the audience were shocked. This was the tyrannical strength of the martial disciple realm. Once True Qi was released, it could split stones and split gold. It could kill the enemy through the air. The attack power was more than 10 times stronger. Now it seemed that it was indeed so. If an expert in the 9th heaven of the martial disciple realm was hit by this palm, it was estimated that his body would be torn apart. Even if he was rescued in time, his lungs would be severely injured and his body would be torn apart. It was like being executed by 1,000 cuts. It would take at least a year of treatment to recover. Boom, as the audience had expected, Xiaoping didn't even have time to react in the face of this palm. The palm landed solidly on his chest. Immediately, a terrifying explosion came from the entire arena. The Qi vibrated, stirring up the sand, covering the sky and the earth. Smoke and dust billowed, and huge cracks appeared on the ground of the arena. The referee next to him was shocked. He wanted to immediately rush up to rescue the contestant and pull Xia Ping out of the arena for emergency treatment. However, before he could do anything, he saw that Xia Ping was still standing intact on the arena, looking at Qin Muyang. Impossible. Qin Muyang stared at Xia Ping in disbelief. You were hit by my 5 ultimate killer hands, a full blow of the first heaven of the martial disciple realm. Why didn't you fall? Why didn't you become a dead dog? No, the situation is completely wrong. The script is not written like this. Seeing that Xia Ping was still safe and sound, he couldn't accept such a reality at all. You want to defeat me with such strength? Xia Ping looked at Qin Muyang faintly and said, I have already said that you are not qualified. Even if you advance to the first heaven of the martial disciple realm, you are not qualified at all. If you want to defeat me, let your father come over. He was calm and composed. He operated the Dark North body protection skill and was already in an invincible position. If someone wanted to break his defense, they had to be at least in the second heaven of the martial disciple realm. I don't believe it, I don't believe it. Qin Muyang roared, his face was ferocious and his Taoist heart collapsed. He frantically displayed the 5 ultimate killer hands. Countless palms bombarded Xia Ping's body, bursting out a sound like thunder and war drums. But even after dozens of palms, Xia Ping still did not move. Not to mention falling down, he did not even take a step back. Damn it, fall for me, fall for me, fall for me immediately. Qin Muyang shouted frantically. He was crazy. Hurry up and turn into a dead dog for me. So annoying, get lost. Chapter 157. Boom. Qin Muyang did not expect Xia Ping to suddenly attack. He was caught off guard and was hit by a force of tens of thousands of kilograms. It was as if he had smashed into something and exploded with a terrifying force. With a few cracking sounds, even though he was an expert in the martial warrior realm, he was not invincible. After being hit by such a terrifying force, more than a dozen of his ribs were broken. There was even a clear red palm print on his chest. Ah! Qin Muyang screamed as his body flew backward and hit the ground hard. He slid for more than a dozen meters and reached the edge of the arena. He was one step away from falling off. He was so angry that he could not help but spit out a mouthful of blood. Do you admit defeat? Xia Ping came in front of Qin Muyang and looked down at him coldly and ruthlessly. Admit defeat? I am a disciple of the Qin family and the #1 expert of the Tianshui city's #1 middle school. How could I admit defeat to you? You are dreaming, do you know that? Qin Muyang shouted angrily. He felt as if his heart was being bitten by countless ants. It was really embarrassing. It was him who wanted to beat this guy like a dead dog. But now he was beaten like a dead dog by this bastard. Just one punch had destroyed all his combat power. He could not bear such humiliation at all. Before the competition started, he did not expect this to happen. He was an expert in the martial warrior realm, but he was no match for this bastard Xia Ping. Xia Ping had destroyed him with one punch. How was this possible? What can you do if you don't admit defeat? Xia Ping looked at Qin Muyang indifferently. Just one move and you're already crippled. With your current state, how many more moves can you take? Even if you want to show off, you have to look at the situation. Although you used to be the #1 expert of the #1 middle school, that was only in the past. After today you won't be anymore. You have to accept reality, understand? Hearing this, Qin Muyang was so angry that he exploded. He said angrily, accept reality? You are just a piece of trash from a third-rate school. You want to replace me as the #1 expert and defeat me? Are you kidding me? I will never admit this. Never. With a bang he endured the pain in his body. His whole body was like a spring filled with explosive power. He immediately jumped up, clenched his fist and punched towards Xia Ping. Even if he had to exhaust the last of his strength, he would defeat this arrogant bastard and defend his reputation. Xia Ping didn't even look at Qin Muyang. He suddenly raised his hand and slapped Qin Muyang's face. Qin Muyang was instantly sent flying. Qin Muyang let out a blood-curdling scream. A few of his front teeth flew out, mixed with blood. His body spun a few times in the air like a spinning top. Bang! After that, he fell from the sky and fiercely smashed outside the arena. He was smashed to the point of being dizzy, and even 5 or 6 bones in his body were broken. He was in an extremely miserable state. Do I need you to admit that I can defeat you? You are too arrogant. Xia Ping stood in the arena and looked down at Qin Muyang, who was lying on the ground, unable to move. Remember, keep a low profile in the future. Don't call yourself the #1 expert so easily. Hearing this, Qin Muyang was so angry that he vomited blood. His lungs were about to explode. This bastard had won, but he was still mocking him and telling him to keep a low profile. He was the #1 expert of the first middle school and was invincible. He had always been the one to say such words to his defeated opponents. He had never been spoken to like this before. This was like slapping his face more than a dozen times. His face was swollen. With a slap, Qin Muyang foamed at the mouth. His neck tilted and his qi and blood rushed to his head. He fainted on the spot. Qin Muyang fell out of the arena. Xia Ping wins. Seeing this, the referee immediately announced the result of the match. He looked at Xia Ping in shock. He had actually defeated Qin Muyang, who had the strength of a martial artist realm, with just one move. This was simply incredible. No way. Xia Ping, that bastard, won? Qin Muyang is a martial artist realm expert. He is a martial artist realm expert. What a joke. This joke has gone too far. No matter how I look at it, it's impossible for Qin Muyang to lose. What the hell is going on? Seeing the result of the match, many of the audience were dumbfounded. They could not believe what they saw in front of them. A dignified martial artist realm expert, Qin Muyang, actually lost. Moreover, he did not lose by a single move. He was beaten up and defeated without the strength to fight back. Has anyone seen this before? Has anyone ever seen something like this? A dignified martial artist realm expert could not defeat a martial disciple realm expert. Instead, he was beaten like a dead dog without the strength to fight back, a spectator shouted. He could not accept this fact at all. This was because this scene really subverted everyone's imagination. Normally, there was a huge difference between the martial artist realm and the martial disciple realm. It was simply impossible to win. Normally speaking, it should be Xia Ping who was beaten up like a dead dog. However, the situation was completely different. This kind of battle happened under the eyes of countless spectators and under the high-definition cameras. It was impossible to fake it. My God, this Xia Ping is heaven-defying. It's really heaven-defying. With the strength of the 9th heaven of martial artist, he actually beat Qin Muyang of the martial artist realm like a dead dog. This is simply incredible. If I didn't see it with my own eyes, I wouldn't believe it at all. How can this shameless Xia Ping be so powerful? I don't believe it. Did he drug Qin Muyang? Otherwise, how can the gap be so big? That's no way to fight back. How dare you drug him? Qin Muyang is a child of the Qin family. Who dares to drug him? Who can drug him? There is no doubt that this is the gap in strength. It can't be made up at all. Although this Qin Muyang was promoted to the martial artist realm at the age of 18, this is already a rare genius in 10 years, but what happened to this Xia Ping? Just the 9th heaven of martial artist, he can defeat a martial artist realm expert. Is this a monster? Qin Muyang is really miserable. He was promoted to the martial artist realm and thought that he was invincible. He wanted to defeat Xia Ping in front of everyone's eyes and avenge himself. But who would have thought that he would be beaten so miserably instead? Is there anything more painful than this? It's estimated that this will become a psychological shadow. Many spectators were emotional and shocked. This was a legendary battle. Such a thing had never happened in the 100 years of history of Tianshui City. This was the first time. In previous competitions, there were also some geniuses who were promoted to the martial artist realm. They were invincible and invincible. They easily won the championship of that year and became a legend. But there has never been a powerhouse in the 9th heaven of martial artist realm who easily defeated a powerhouse in the martial artist realm and won the first place in this way. Chapter 158. He actually defeated Qin Muyang, who is in the first sky of the martial warrior realm. He's too strong. Jianghu also saw this scene and was so shocked that she almost couldn't speak. Previously, she thought that Xia Ping would lose. After all, it was impossible to defeat a martial warrior realm expert. But now Qin Muyang was beaten like a dead dog by Xia Ping. This scene was simply unimaginable to her. Her childhood sweetheart, who originally needed her to take care of, had now grown into an expert that far surpassed her. He stood at the peak of the entire Tianshui City High School, trampling over all the major high schools. No one could defeat him. Damn, how can he be so strong? Chu Rong clenched her fists. She was very unwilling. If this continued, she was afraid that she would never be able to defeat this hateful man in this life and take revenge for what happened before. However, she didn't lose confidence. In time, she would definitely advance to the martial warrior realm and compete with this bastard again. He actually defeated Qin Muyang and won the competition. This is amazing. The homeroom teacher, Qiushue, was also a little stunned. She was also a little surprised. According to her martial arts realm, she actually couldn't see what method Xia Ping used to win. She couldn't see the powerful combat strength that Xia Ping possessed at all. It was extremely hidden. But this was how martial artists were. Whether they were strong or not, they would know after a fight. What theory, what other people's evaluation, what reputation, etc. With a punch, they would know who was stronger and who was the real expert. There were no other twists and turns. Someone was not convinced? Just come up and fight. When Gao Wan, Yang Wei, and the others saw this scene, they all wailed as if they had lost their parents. Trash, that Qin Muyang is trash. A dignified martial warrior realm expert can't even defeat this bastard Xia Ping. He even said that Qin Muyang is a genius. I think he's pure trash. What's the use of having him? Now that this Xia Ping won the championship, I don't know how arrogant he will be in school in the future. I'm afraid that for the next 2 months, until graduation, we will be shrouded in his shadow. Damn this guy. Sex. First. Shameless. Previously. Picking up countless girls. Now that he has the title of champion, I don't know how many girls will be harmed. A group of people were unwilling. They gritted their teeth and looked at Xia Ping, who won on the stage. They were all unconvinced that this bastard won the championship and wanted to go up and beat this bastard up. However, Yang Wei and the others were just unwilling and indignant, but the higher-ups of the Qinshui City Gambling Company all looked as if their parents had died. Their mood was simply desperate. It can't be, this bastard Xia Ping really won. This joke has gone too far. It's not funny at all. Many of the higher-ups were dumbfounded. They looked at the result on TV in disbelief. They could not accept it at all. As for the CEO of the gambling company, he was paralyzed on the chair, and cold sweat broke out on his forehead. Once Xia Ping won, they would have to compensate 400 million federal coins, and the other people who bet would also have to compensate. They roughly estimated that they would have to pay at least 1 billion federal coins this time. Illusion, this is definitely an illusion. How can a mere martial disciple defeat a martial warrior? The CEO of the gambling company was going crazy. He still couldn't believe this reality. That's right, I need to sleep now. I'll be able to see the news of Qin Muyang's victory tomorrow. He panicked and could only lie to comfort himself. A senior employee beside him couldn't help but say, "Boss, wake up. Qin Muyang did lose. He lost in front of everyone. It's not an illusion at all." The CEO of the gambling company was in despair. How can it not be an illusion? Now that bastard Xia Ping won, we have to compensate 400 million federal coins. That's a whole 400 million. That's how much our annual profit is. He was so angry that his lungs almost exploded. The other senior employees were extremely aggrieved. After losing a few hundred million, their year-end bonuses would be gone. They might even have to be laid off. However, it was impossible for them to go back on their word. Under the federal law, anyone who wanted to go back on their word would be sent to prison or even executed. No one dared to challenge such a ruthless law. They had no choice but to compensate. Next time that bastard wants to gamble, you definitely can't accept his bet, the CEO of the gambling company said fiercely. He could only make this kind of weak resistance now. In the VIP room of the Qinshui City Stadium, a group of big shots also saw this scene and they were also stunned. They were also experienced and knowledgeable, but they never expected such a scene to appear. Qin Muyang, who was invincible and was sure to win the championship, actually lost, and he lost so miserably. It was simply tragic. The gap between the two sides' combat power was too big. When the white-clothed old man sitting on the chair saw Xia Ping win, his eyes couldn't help but show a glimmer of light. He seemed to be aware of something, and there was a trace of excitement in the depths of his pupils. But he still endured it and said, "This Xia Ping, after the award ceremony, I want to see him in person." What? Many big shots were shocked. They were all stunned. Elder Fang actually wanted to see this kid. Could it be that he took a fancy to this guy's potential and wanted to recruit him? But thinking about it, even if Qin Muyang was very strong, he was promoted to the martial warrior realm at the age of 18. He was a rare genius in 10 years. Before Xia Ping appeared, he was the well-deserved number one. But Qin Weiyang lost to Xia Ping, who was in the ninth heaven of martial arts, and lost extremely miserably. When the two are compared, you will know which one has more potential. If Qin Weiyang is a rare genius in 10 years, then this Xia Ping is estimated to be a peerless monster. Sometimes the most terrible thing is to compare. Many things are worthless when compared. Damn it. Mayor Qin Fei was very unwilling. If Xia Ping didn't appear, his son might have been favored by Elder Fong. Now this abominable Xia Ping robbed this opportunity. How could he be willing? But he didn't dare to say anything, not even resentment. Because once this Xia Ping is invited by Elder Fong and joins the martial arts organization that Elder Fong is in, I am afraid that Xia Ping will soar to the sky at that time. He, the mayor of Tianshui City, can only look up and even bow to him. This kid is rich. Reaching the sky in one step, this is reaching the sky in one step. The so-called carp leaping over the dragon gate is talking about this kind of thing. A group of high-level big shots of Tianshui City looked at Xia Ping on the screen with envy and jealousy. There is no doubt that no matter what kind of small figure Xia Ping was before, once he is favored by Elder Fong, he will be someone they can't afford to offend in the future. However, they also admit that even if Elder Fong doesn't take a fancy to Xia Ping, it is estimated that other powerful martial arts organizations will take a fancy to him. After all, he can defeat a martial artist in the martial warrior realm. This aptitude alone is enough to make countless organizations excited and rush to invite him. Chapter 159. At this time at home. Father Xia Chuanlu and Mother Huang Lanxin also saw the scene of Xia Ping's victory. They were so surprised that they almost jumped up from the sofa and were excited to the extreme. Haha, he won, my son won. Xia Chuanlu was proud. I didn't expect my son to win the high school fighting competition. Now I want to see who can look down on me. Although I can't, my son can. Huang Lanxin was also extremely happy, promising, my son is really promising. She knew how high the value of this high school fighting competition was, and the champion of each session was bound to be admitted to Yanhuang University. There is no doubt that her son will have a promising future. By the way, I have to call my relatives and friends. If there are any happy things, we can share them. Suddenly thinking of something, Xia Chuan showed a treacherous smile. Huang Lanxin was speechless. Where did he want to share? He clearly wanted to show off. However, there are not many things in life that you can be proud of. What's the point of showing off? What's the point of being proud? It's best to be happy. I don't care what others think. Editor Meng Fei of Penguin is also paying attention to Xia Ping all the time. After all, this is a new great novelist who has recently appeared on their website, and he is planning to launch a TV series soon. How can he not pay attention to it? No, Teacher Black-Hearted Wolf is too powerful. Not only is he good at writing novels, but even his martial arts cultivation is so amazing. He has a promising future. Meng Fei paid attention to the news of Xia Ping's victory and sighed with emotion. This is the so-called mastery of both the pen and the sword. With a beep, a video communication request was connected. It was director Wang Dachui. As soon as it was connected, Meng Fei immediately heard Wang Dachui's loud voice shouting, Meng Fei, do you know? Xia Ping actually won the championship of Tianshui City High School fighting competition. He actually won the championship. My God, this is against the sky. He was excited to the extreme. You haven't contacted me for several days and now you suddenly contact me. It's not to tell me about this, right? Meng Fei had long known his friend's character and did not beat around the bush with him. Wang Dachui laughed and said, Meng Fei, you know me well. The 10-episode TV series has been filmed. It will be finished in a few days and it will be on the video website soon. At this point he couldn't help but feel nervous. After all, this was his masterpiece and he couldn't afford to fail. If he failed this time, there wouldn't be a second chance. You contacted me for publicity? Meng Fei immediately knew what his friend was thinking. Wang Dachui chuckled and said, That's right, it's for publicity. Moreover, I've been frugal this time. I only have 1 million left from the 5 million production fee. I can use it for publicity. The corner of Meng Fei's mouth twitched. The production cost of each episode was already considered shabby, but this fatty was actually able to save 1 million. Just how stingy was he? God knows how many employees had been squeezed out of their hard-earned money. However, he was too lazy to care about how the other party did it. He asked directly, Tell me, how do you want to advertise it? The biggest gimmick of this TV series is naturally the new writer, Black-Hearted Wolf. I guess a lot of people on the internet are curious about his identity. And this time he also won the championship of the Tianshui City High School fighting competition. Wang Dachui's eyes lit up. A high school student, a champion of the fighting competition, a top student with excellent academic performance, is actually the author of an erotic novel. I don't know how many people's eyeballs will be shocked if this gets out. There's no doubt that this news will definitely shock the entire internet. He was full of confidence. After all, he was already a veteran in hyping things up. Meng Fei was speechless and looked at Wang Dachui. Should we ask Teacher Black-Hearted Wolf about this? Maybe he doesn't want to reveal his identity? Don't worry, he will definitely agree. Wang Dachui didn't care. After all, he has invested 5 million federal dollars. I don't think he would want to lose everything for his TV series. In short, leave this matter to me. I promise it will be fine. With a snap, he hung up the video call. The corners of Meng Fei's mouth twitched. He felt very helpless. He always felt that this damn fatty was not very reliable. He didn't know how much trouble he would cause in the future. But there was nothing he could do now. At this time, in the living room of the Zhou family's villa, the TV was on. Zhou Quan stared at Xia Ping on the TV, his eyes showing an extremely gloomy color, revealing a faint killing intent. And at this time, there were 4 or 5 men in black standing behind him. Boss, according to your instructions, we went to investigate this Xia Ping. A man in black immediately said, indeed, this Xia Ping is very strange. Obviously, 2 months ago this kid was only at the 3rd heavenly layer of martial arts, but now he has been promoted to the 9th heavenly layer of martial arts. This situation is too weird, and the speed of his progress is too amazing. If he didn't hide his cultivation base, then he must have had an amazing adventure. His face was very solemn. And I also investigated before. He once had a conflict with Zhou Tai, and at school. It was this kid who sent Zhou Tai to the hospital with a punch. Another man in black also opened his mouth. Because of this, the boss's younger brother Zhou Ding seems to be angry, and he also sent a few elite men to deal with Xia Ping's family. Although Xia Ping's mother was successfully sent to the hospital, the murderer who hit people disappeared without a trace, as if he had completely disappeared from this world, and there was no trace at all. There were even a few elite men who went to deal with Xia Ping, but they also disappeared without a trace. And that night, this villa exploded, and Zhou Tai and Zhou Ding were also killed on the spot. There are many doubts in this worth exploring. Hearing this, Zhou Quan's eyes showed a cold light. You mean the death of my brother and my brother's son is probably done by this kid? It may not be this kid who did it, but it absolutely can't escape the relationship. After all, how can things be so coincidental? Just sent to deal with Xia Ping's family, but Zhou Ding's family suddenly died without warning. One of the men in black sneered, this kid must have become a disciple of some powerful master, and got that powerful master to back him up, so he asked that powerful master to kill Zhou Ding's family. Boss, if this kid has a backer, I'm afraid we can't act recklessly. Another man in black said cautiously. To be able to kill Zhou Ding's family without a sound, and not even the police could find a trace of it, this kind of ability was too scary. Can't act recklessly? You killed my brother and you're telling me we can't act. Zhou Quan shouted angrily, I don't care who is behind him, he dared to kill my disciple, I will fight him to the death. You guys keep an eye on Xia Ping's family. If you find anything wrong with this kid, kill him. No need to show mercy, I will do it myself. Chapter 160. At this time in the ring. Xia Ping's eyes flashed and the system sounded, congratulations to the host, you have attracted a lot of hatred, and now you have accumulated 100,000 hatred points. The system's authority has been upgraded, and the authority has been upgraded. Authority upgrade. What does this mean? Xia Ping asked, very curious. Although he was very happy that he had gained 100,000 hatred points, he was more curious about the system's authority. The system replied, every time the authority is upgraded, more functions of the system can be unlocked. The host has accumulated 100,000 hatred points, triggering the conditions for the system's authority upgrade. Next time you want to upgrade the authority, you must accumulate 1,000,000 hatred points. Interesting, what is the function of this authority upgrade? Xia Ping wanted to know this. The system said, After the authority upgrade, the host can track every enemy who has hatred towards the host, and even spend hatred points to know the basic information of the enemy and the specific location. What? Xiaoping was shocked and immediately overjoyed. This authority was of great benefit to him. Even if he knew that someone had killing intent against him, he couldn't know who it was. Even if someone wanted to retaliate against him, he couldn't find the enemy, and he could only wait for the other party to make a move. But with this authority, things like what happened to Zhou Tai and last time would never happen. He could completely take precautions and completely kill the enemy. Host, someone just had a strong killing intent against the host. Do you want to spend hatred points to understand? The metallic voice of the system came out. You need 1,000 hatred points. Strong killing intent? Who is it? Xiaoping's eyes flashed and he instinctively felt a little uneasy and immediately said, spend it immediately. Anyway, 1,000 hatred points is not a lot for him. Yes, host. The system said. With a bang, suddenly, the system immediately sent a warm current, and immediately a clear picture appeared in Xiaoping's mind. It was the scene when Zhou Quan had killing intent against him in the living room of the villa in the distance. This picture is the moment when the system captures the enemy's killing intent. Although the time is very short, it is enough to understand most of the information about the other party. Zhou Tai, Anne's uncle, Zhou Ding's elder brother Zhou Quan. He found a clue and wants to find me for revenge. Xiaoping couldn't help clenching his fists, and his eyes revealed a terrible killing intent. He clearly remembered the scene where his mother was hit by a car and sent to the hospital. He would never allow such a thing to happen again. No matter who wanted to hurt his family, they must pay the price. Host, the enemy has the strength of the first heaven of the martial artist realm. He has many henchmen and the level is dangerous. The system said. The Zhou Quan must die. Xiaoping knew that Zhou Quan was an extremely dangerous figure in the underworld. He was like a venomous snake, vicious and merciless. He was even crueler than Zhou Ding. There was no way to reason with such an underworld character, and the other party would definitely not reason with you. The only way was to kill until the other party was terrified and then cut the weeds and eliminate the roots. Only then could it end. When the award ceremony is over, I'll go kill him. Xiaoping's eyes flashed with a cold light, but he didn't show it. The killing intent in his heart was brewing, but he didn't show it. Because the award ceremony was about to begin, he couldn't leave immediately. Otherwise it would definitely cause a huge uproar. Fortunately, the award ceremony didn't take too long. He just stood on the podium, received the champion's trophy, and let some news reporters take pictures. However, the runner-up Qin Muyang didn't come. Instead, the first middle school found another student to receive the award on his behalf. It was said that he was still in emergency treatment and couldn't attend. Although the surrounding students were not convinced that Xiaoping won the championship, there was nothing they could do. After more than an hour, the award ceremony finally ended. Xiaoping planned to leave. At this moment, a man in black immediately came up and stopped Xiaoping. He said, Mr. Xia, a big shot wants to see you. I wonder if you have time now? A big shot wants to see me? Xiaoping stared at the man in black. He could feel a strong aura coming from him. It was far beyond the martial artist realm, as if he had reached a higher realm. His martial arts strength was extremely terrifying. Yes. The man in black smiled. This is a great opportunity. Once you seize it, there will be endless benefits. I guess all the families in Qianshui City are eager to get it, but they can't do anything about it. Xiaoping's heart skipped a beat. He used the system to sense that the man didn't have any malicious intent, nor did he have any killing intent. There was only friendliness. It probably wasn't a trap. Okay, you lead the way. Xiaoping immediately agreed. He wasn't in a hurry to deal with Zhou Quan. He wanted to see who this so-called big shot was first. Soon they came to a building behind the stadium. It was heavily guarded. Many police officers were guarding this place, but no one stopped them. The two went directly to a hall on the second floor. The hall was spacious as if it was a training room. In the hall, there was an old man in white standing with his hands behind his back. Behind him were 4 or 5 men in black. Xiaoping could immediately feel that the aura of the old man in white was very unusual. It seemed to be covered by a layer of special energy, as if he was in harmony with nature. He seemed to be completely integrated with nature and was extremely powerful. You're finally here. The old man in white smiled at Xiaoping and said, Come on, punch me. What? Hearing this, Xiaoping was completely dumbfounded. Was this old man crazy? Why did he ask people to punch him? Was he trying to blackmail him? Mr. Xia, don't worry. If Elder Fang asks you to do it, just do it. With your current strength, you're far from being able to hurt even a hair of Elder Fang. The man in black next to him laughed. Hearing this, Xia Ping immediately felt relieved. He steadied his horse stance and punched the old man in white. Dragon fist, divine dragon goes to sea. With a punch, there seemed to be a dragon's roar in the void. The air was distorted and the chi vibrated. An extremely ferocious power erupted. A force of tens of thousands of kilograms suddenly exploded. The pupils of the men in black next to him shrank. They were secretly amazed. Even though they saw this kid's battle on the screen, they only realized that it was more terrifying than they had imagined when they saw it up close. With just a punch like this, an ordinary expert in the first heaven of the martial artist realm might not be a match for him. Good timing. The old man in white smiled. His eyes were filled with excitement. He gently slapped his palm towards Xia Ping's fist. Boom. The two collided, causing a series of explosions. The hall shook. What? Chapter 161. Not bad, not bad. The old man in white took Xia Ping's palm and looked at him with admiration. He said, "You're only in the ninth heaven of the martial disciple realm, yet you can display such power. You've cultivated the 5 forms fist to the acme of perfection. It's really amazing." He paused and stared at Xia Ping. "But what's even more amazing is that you've opened a little bit of the Baihui acupoint in the martial disciple realm and cultivated spiritual power. It seems that your spiritual power is quite strong. I don't know how much stronger it is than ordinary people." What? Xia Ping was taken aback. With just a single punch, this old man seemed to have seen through his entire body. This old man's eyesight was terrifying to the point of being a complete mess. It can't be. He has cultivated spiritual power at the martial disciple realm. How is this possible? The group of men in black behind him were shocked and looked at Xia Ping in disbelief. They had seen many martial artists at the age of 18. After all, there were countless geniuses in this world. If they were willing to accumulate resources, it was not difficult to advance to the martial disciple realm. However, to cultivate spiritual power at the martial disciple realm, it was not something that could be achieved with resources. There must be extremely monstrous talent. That's right, I have indeed cultivated spiritual power, Xia Ping admitted. Hearing this, the old man in white suddenly smiled. Sure enough, your spiritual power is quite strong. By the way, how far can your spiritual power cover now? He looked at Xia Ping curiously. I haven't measured it carefully. About 120 meters. If I use my full strength, it may be farther. Xia Ping replied. 120 meters. The group of black-clothed men at the side were all stunned, and all of them were quite frightened. Ordinary martial warriors who had just cultivated their psychic energy would be considered pretty good if they could spread it 2 to 3 meters. However, this kid was only in the martial disciple realm and his spiritual power had reached more than 100 meters. This kind of spiritual power was more than 10 times that of ordinary people. It was too amazing. The old man in white also trembled a little and stared at Xia Ping. Sure enough, you're a rare genius in 100 years. You're so powerful at the martial disciple realm. Once you advance to the martial disciple realm, won't you be heaven-defying? For a martial artist, the strength of one's soul was extremely important. The stronger one's soul was, the more powerful one's mental strength would be. It would even increase the speed of one's comprehension of martial arts. This was talent. There were some pills and elixirs that could make up for the body's flaws, making the body even stronger. However, there were almost no elixirs that could increase one's soul power. It could be said that this was innate, destined from birth. Even if there were peerless treasures that could increase one's soul power, those treasures weren't something that ordinary people could afford. It was estimated that the entire Qianshui city wouldn't even have enough to exchange. As for Xia Ping, he had lived 2 lives. His 2 souls had fused together and had undergone a mutation. His soul force was at least 10 times stronger than an ordinary person's. After going through the tempering of a peak cultivation technique, the pure yang immortal art, it had become even stronger. Oh right. The white-robed old man stared at Xia Ping and suddenly asked, "Do you know of the giant company?" Giant company? Of course I know. Xia Ping nodded matter-of-factly. If anyone living on Yanhuang planet didn't know of the giant company, then he wasn't from Yanhuang planet at all. Because the giant company was simply a super conglomerate of the entire Yanhuang planet. Its business penetrated into all walks of life. Virtual networks, maglev trains, smart homes, network communications, hotels, real estate, shipping, and so on, were all controlled by the giant company. It could be said that this was simply a super organization. Some people think that its power was almost above that of the Federation government. This was a truly transcendent force. Of course, there were also two organizations that could be compared with the giant company. One was the Life Company, which controlled more than 50% of the medical drugs on the entire Yanhuang planet. It produced a large number of pills and energy potions. For example, the Golden Potion was produced by this company. Such a company was simply a pharmaceutical giant, and no one knew how much money they had made. The remaining company was the Aurora Corporation. It was an arms giant that manufactured countless weapons such as Aurora pistols, sniper rifles, aircraft carriers, remote sensing satellites, smart missiles, nuclear bombs, and so on. They were all manufactured by this company. It integrated the most advanced war technology on the entire planet. It was simply a monster-like organization. It had a deep relationship with the military. Some people called it a war machine. And these three super companies were the three supergiants that ruled the entire Yanhuang planet. They were tyrannical martial arts organizations above the Federation government. Everyone knew about them. It's good that you know. The white-clothed old man smiled. This old man is Fang Ru, the head of the giant company's Yangzhou district. The head of the Yangzhou district. Xia Ping's eyes revealed a glimmer of light. A big shot. This was definitely a super big shot. To be able to become the head of the giant company's Yangzhou district, such an identity was enough to be compared with the #1 chief of Yangzhou district. A casual sneeze from such a big shot could cause the entire Yangzhou district to catch a cold for 3 days, and the entire continent would be shaken. The reason why I came to you this time is also very simple. The white-clothed old man Fang Ru looked at Xia Ping. I want to invite you to join the giant company and become a member of the giant company. He was simple and direct. Invite me to join the giant company? Xia Ping blinked. The white-clothed old man Fang Ru nodded. Yes, that's it. The giant company has been absorbing the most talented people on the planet and letting them receive the best training. Those who can join the giant company are all geniuses among geniuses. Ordinary geniuses are not qualified to join at all, nor will they be invited. Of course, joining the giant company will also bring endless benefits. Not only can you get a large number of heavenly materials and earthly treasures that can't be bought with money in the world, but you can also get a variety of top martial arts manuals. There will also be Grandmaster Realm powerhouses and even King Realm powerhouses coming to personally guide you. Xia Ping clenched his fists and his mind was surging. After the Martial Disciple Realm was the Martial Warrior Realm, then the Martial Master Realm, then the Grandmaster Realm, and then the King Realm. This was the realm of transcendence. Once you reached the King Realm, you could split the land and be crowned king. Even the laws of the Federation government couldn't do anything to you. Such a character couldn't even be killed by a nuclear bomb, and their lifespan was more than 1,000 years. If such a character came to personally guide you, the benefits would be unimaginable. No matter how much money you offered, you wouldn't be able to invite them. After all, how could such a character be bought with money? At this level, it was too easy to want money. With just a word, who knew how many people would rush to give money to them? Chapter 162. How is it? The white-robed old man Fang Ru looked at Xia Ping. Such a quota is priceless. Some families want to pay billions of federal coins to join, but it's impossible. If you aren't an absolute genius, you won't have such a chance. And now you have such a chance. As long as you pass the trial, you can join the giant company and become one of us. The black-robed men at the side all looked at Xia Ping with envy. They were merely followers of the white-robed old man. It was impossible for them to join the giant company. Not to mention the fact that Elder Fang had taken the initiative to invite this brat. The difference between them was too great. After joining the giant company, can't I apply for university? Xia Ping wanted to know this. The white-robed old man Fang Ru smiled. Of course not. Even if you join the giant company, you can still go to university. Or rather, we hope that you can continue to study and become stronger. You can understand it this way. The various universities of the Federation are public training bases for martial artists. As for the various martial arts organizations, They are places for the graduates to work after they graduate. I believe you know that some martial artists choose to join private companies after they graduate. Some choose to establish their own companies, some join the federation, and some become soldiers. However, in order to compete for martial artists with potential, many factions start to compete from high school. Xiaoping nodded. Whether or not a martial artist had potential and whether or not they could enter the extreme realm of martial arts could be seen from high school. There was no doubt about it. Of course, there were some who had average results in high school and exploded in university. However, it was very rare and could be ignored. Hence, many martial arts organizations would pay attention to the geniuses of the various schools. Once they had a bit of potential, they would be scavenged and signed in advance, allowing them to join their organization. After all, there were only so many geniuses. If others snatched one away, there would be one less. Of course, they had to act first. But what does this trial mean? Xiaoping continued to ask. This is a test for you to join the giant company. Everyone who wants to join the giant company must participate. There are no exceptions. Only by passing can you officially join. The white-robed old man Feng Ru smiled. This trial is very difficult, but that's only for normal martial artists. I believe that for you this trial is as easy as flipping your hand. He had full confidence in Xiaoping. He was only in the martial disciple realm, but he had cultivated spiritual power. He could challenge those of a higher level and defeat those in the martial disciple realm. If such a person could not pass the trial, he did not know who could. At this point, Xiaoping had already made up his mind. This was a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. Once he joined the giant company, he would have the protection of this gigantic entity. Who would dare to touch him? No matter how much trouble he caused, the giant company would be able to easily resolve it. This was a powerful backing. Not to mention, he could also use the giant company to obtain all sorts of peak-level martial arts manuals, as well as all sorts of heavenly ingredients and earthly treasures to constantly increase his cultivation base. At that time, even if this super hatred system disappeared, he could still rely on the giant company to rapidly rise up and become stronger. It would be stupid to refuse. What do you think? Are you interested in joining? Feng Ru looked at Xiaoping. Xiaoping nodded. I'll join. Very good. Feng Ru smiled. He was very happy. He had finally obtained a peerless genius. Even to him, the person in charge of the Jianghu region, this was a relatively great contribution. Although the giant company was a major power, they still thirsted for martial arts geniuses. It was precisely because the giant company had an endless supply of martial arts geniuses that they were able to maintain their status as a major power. With a paw sound, he pressed the smartwatch on his wrist. A virtual projection was immediately projected out. After that, he stretched out his hand and lightly tapped on it, sending a document to Xiaoping's handphone. Alright, this is the contract for you to join the giant company. After you sign this contract, it will have legal effects and you will be considered to have joined the giant company. Don't worry, the contract of the giant company is still very lenient to martial artists. Xiaoping took out his handphone and looked at it in detail. The contract of the giant company was considered to be more lenient to martial artists. It was merely an employment contract and not a slave contract. Some martial arts organizations were very sinister. They would purposely take out a fraudulent contract, a slave contract, attempting to bind the martial artist for a lifetime. Some martial arts geniuses had fallen into their traps because of this. As a result, they spent decades fighting lawsuits and both sides suffered losses. However, the giant company was one of the three superpowers of Yanhuang Star. It disdained to make such a trap contract. Its name alone was enough to attract countless genius martial artists to join. By maintaining justice, they could continue to maintain their status as a major power. Thinking of this, Xiaoping clicked on the contract, bound it to his ID card and teleported back. Very good. Seeing that Xiaoping had signed the contract, the white-clothed old man Feng Ru smiled even more brilliantly and said, After a week, we will begin the trial. At that time, I will send someone to the school to pick you up personally. Won't it delay the college entrance examination? Xiaoping asked. Feng Ru waved his hand. Don't worry, the trial will probably last for a month. There are still 2 months before the college entrance examination. As for the school, I will also send someone to help you apply for leave. Okay, go back and prepare well. Work hard to improve your martial arts cultivation. The better your performance in this trial, the greater the benefits you will get. He vaguely reminded Xiaoping. Okay. Xia Ping nodded, then he turned and left the hall. When he came to the first floor, he immediately saw a group of middle-aged men in black suits, exuding a high-ranking aura. They were all waiting at the door. Xia Ping immediately recognized that these middle-aged men in black suits were not simple. All of them were high-ranking officials and tycoons of Tianshui City. Some of them were even members of parliament and mayors who often appeared on TV. Even if he didn't care about politics, he knew the reputation of these people. After all, to put it bluntly, this group of people was the sky of the entire Tianshui City. Nephew Xia. At this time, a fat man with a big belly came up. He looked at Xia Ping with a smile and a very enthusiastic attitude. You are? Xia Ping blinked his eyes. He didn't know this fat man, but he didn't know why he felt that this guy was very familiar, as if he had seen him somewhere before. I am Feng Hatang's father, Feng Shan. The fat man in the suit said with a smile. Sure enough, he was Feng Hatang's father. Chapter 163. In reality, Xia Ping had underestimated the significance of him joining the giant company. No one knew better than the big shots of Tianshui City what it meant for Xia Ping to join the giant company. It meant that Xia Ping had already stepped onto the path of becoming a martial artist. Any genius who was invited to join the giant company would definitely become a King Realm expert as long as they didn't die along the way. Once they became a King Realm expert, they would immediately be given the title of king. They would have monstrous power and a single order could make tens of thousands of people bow down to them. Even the status of a general of the Federation was nothing. Clans like them from Skywater City could only bend their knees and flatter a King Realm expert. Because so long as the King Realm expert was displeased and casually said a few words, then their clan would vanish on the next day while their entire clan would be annihilated. One could imagine how terrifying a King Realm expert was. When facing such a monstrous genius that possessed a bright future and a future King Realm expert, if they didn't seize the opportunity while Xia Ping was weak to get to know him and curry favor with him, could it be that they intended to wait for Xia Ping to grow into a King Realm expert before doing so? At that time they probably wouldn't even be able to enter the door. So it's Uncle Feng. Although Xia Ping didn't know why these people were so friendly, he knew that he didn't need to be afraid of them. It was enough as long as he didn't act humble. Hearing this, Feng Shan chuckled and seemed very happy. Nephew Xia is too polite. You don't know the identity of the people here, right? Let me introduce you. He stretched out his hand and pointed at a middle-aged man in a black suit. He had a square face and a powerful and dignified aura. This is our Tianshui City's Mayor Qin Fei. Hello, Mayor Qin. Xia Ping looked at Mayor Qin and nodded in greeting. This was probably Qin Muyang's father. As expected of the mayor, he was an old fox who had been in politics for a long time and was very shrewd. Even when he defeated Qin Muyang in the finals, the mayor didn't show any displeasure. Nephew Xia is too polite. Congratulations on joining the giant company. From now on, you will probably soar into the sky. In the future, you will definitely be the pride of Tianshui City. Qin Fei smiled and was very kind. Then, Feng Shan pointed to another very elegant middle-aged man with gold-rimmed glasses. He looked very gentle. This is the deputy mayor of Tianshui City, Lu Jianghu. Hello, Mayor Lu. Xia Ping also lightly nodded his head. This person should be Lu Liang's father. He could sense a cold aura coming from the other party. He probably wasn't as refined and gentle as he looked on the surface. When he was truly vicious, he might be even more terrifying than his son, Lu Liang. As for Lu Liang, compared to his father Lu Jianghu, he was far inferior. Just in terms of shrewdness, he was far from being comparable. A dog that really bites doesn't bark. Once he made a move, it would be a vicious one, leaving no room for maneuver. Nice to meet you, Nephew Xia. Congratulations on becoming the champion of the fighting competition. You truly deserve it. Lu Jianghu also smiled slightly as if there was no displeasure to be seen. Even though the other party had defeated his son and humiliated him in the arena, he did not seem to care at all. His attitude was like a spring breeze. Regarding this situation, Xia Ping could only sigh. These old foxes in the officialdom were not simple. Their patience alone was not something that ordinary people could compare with. Without dozens of years of cultivation, it was impossible to reach this level. That's right, this is Representative Huang, that is Representative Li, and this is Representative Chen. Feng Shan introduced the next members one after another. Each one of them was a big shot of Skywater City and a high-ranking member of each big family. When he introduced the last person, he paused and said, And this is the patriarch of the Nangong family, Nangong Hai. He pointed to the last middle-aged man wearing a white suit. He looked very handsome, completely like a handsome uncle. Hearing this, Xiaoping's eyes lit up. He also greeted and very enthusiastically said, "Dad." "What?" When Nangong Hai heard this, he almost jumped up in anger. Half of his face turned green. What was this little bastard called? Who was he calling dad? Did he even know how to speak? The other people also had a strange expression. Of course, they also knew about the relationship between this little brat and Nangong Wu during the qualifiers. Could it be that the two of them already had an affair? Otherwise, why would he call him dad? "I'm not your dad." Nangong Hai's face was very black, and his attitude was very stiff. To tell the truth, he did not have a good impression of this bastard. Of course, his martial arts talent was not fake, but the problem was that this guy was too dissolute and had many girlfriends. If his daughter really followed this bastard, who knows how many hardships she would suffer. Even if he wanted to find a perfect son-in-law, he would never force his only baby daughter. The other big shots also snickered. They had never seen the big shot Nangong Hai reveal such an expression. "Oh, father-in-law." Xiaoping changed the way he said it. Nangong Hai's face became even darker. "I'm also not your father-in-law." This bastard's face was too thick. Did he think that by changing the way he called him, he would not be able to tell? Wanting to marry his baby daughter, how could it be so easy? "It doesn't matter, it will happen sooner or later." Xiaoping casually said, not caring at all. "Sooner or later, my ass." Nangong Hai clenched his teeth and stared at Xiaoping. He suddenly felt that this bastard was too dangerous. If his daughter continued to come in contact with this guy with his thick skin, coupled with his constant pestering, maybe in 2 or 3 days, he would be able to get his daughter. At that time, this bastard would bring little Xiaoping to his door to propose marriage. Even if he did not want to, he would have no choice but to accept it. No, starting tomorrow he must guard against this Xiaoping. Once his daughter had any chance to get close to this bastard, he must immediately send people to stop her. Nangong Hai clenched his fists. He immediately regarded Xiaoping as the most dangerous person. Cough, cough. Seeing Nangong Hai's face turn black like coal, Fengshan could not help but cough. He helped Nangong Hai out and said, "Nephew Xia, in fact, we came here to find you for one thing. Tomorrow night, we will hold a party at the Sky Water Hotel, specially responsible for receiving the top 16 geniuses of the fighting tournament. I hope you will do me the honor of attending." He said the purpose of them coming here. They held this party in the hope that their future generations would come in contact with this monster and establish a good relationship. After all, no matter how the elders deliberately tried to get close, it was not as good as making friends with the same generation. "Okay, I will definitely attend." Xiaoping hesitated for a moment, but finally nodded. After all, these were invitations from the big shots of Sky Water City. It was impossible for him to refuse. In any case, his parents as well as his various relatives and friends, all lived in Sky Water City. Their basic necessities were all here. There was no need to become enemies with these big shots. "That's great. This is the invitation. I hope that nephew Xia will be able to grace us with his presence," Fengshan said with a smile. Xiaoping nodded, took the invitation and turned to leave. Chapter 164. In a secret warehouse on the outskirts of Tianshui City, there was no one around. It could be regarded as an abandoned warehouse, with all kinds of metal garbage piled up nearby. At this time, there was a group of people gathered together in the warehouse. It was Zhou Quan and the others. "Boss, this place has been searched." A man in black looked at Zhou Quan and said, "There is no one around and very few people come to this warehouse. It has been used as a garbage dump. Even if someone were to shout and scream here, no one would notice. This is a good place to hide people." Another black-clothed man also said in a deep voice, "Just a few hours ago, we have also investigated the situation of Xiaoping's family, the surveillance cameras along the way as well as the retreat route. I have clearly investigated, it is already foolproof. Once we capture Xiaoping's family, we can disappear silently and safely retreat to this warehouse. I guarantee that the police will not be able to trace any clues." He was a veteran of kidnapping and was very familiar with these things. Zhou Quan was very satisfied. "Well done. Xiaoping has just won the fighting competition and is the focus of the whole city. He is a public figure. Once he goes missing, there will be a huge uproar. You must do it flawlessly, otherwise if the police see any flaws, we will all be finished. His tone was very strict and he would not allow any failure. Speaking of this, a man in black hesitated and said, "Boss, now we have no evidence to prove that Xia Ping killed Zhou Ding and the others. If we make a move on them and find out that we found the wrong person, I am afraid it will cause big trouble. In any case, Xia Ping is a public figure and is known by countless people. Once our actions are leaked, I am afraid we will immediately be wanted by the police." His face was very solemn. After all, Xia Ping was not an unknown person. He had just won the fighting competition and was already considered a celebrity. Once such a person disappeared, it was bound to cause a stir in the police. Even if they did everything flawlessly, they would still feel a little flustered. They always felt that there might be a mistake somewhere, and then they might be caught by the police and die without a burial place. "Shut up." Zhou Quan shouted angrily and stared at his subordinate, revealing a terrible murderous intent. "Evidence? Are you misunderstanding something? Only the police need evidence to do things. We underworld people do not need evidence to do things. As long as there's a trace of suspicion, it's enough. I'd rather kill 1,000 wrongly than let one go." "So what if he's wrong? He's just unlucky. I, Zhou Quan, have killed people who have been wronged. Xia Ping's family is not the only one. If he wants to blame someone, he can only blame himself for daring to provoke my Zhou clan. This is the road to his death, so who else can he blame?" He was murderous and vengeful, and he was simply like a ferocious and cruel venomous snake. So long as an enemy was targeted by him, then he would bite them to death and would absolutely not give up. Poor fellow. The 4 or 5 black-clothed men shook their heads, feeling pity for Xia Ping. This brat could be considered a genius with a boundless future. In the future he might even become a grandmaster-level expert. But now that he was being targeted by someone as ruthless as Zhou Quan, he had already taken half a step into hell. There was no future for him. Geniuses were only terrifying when they grew up. Geniuses that didn't grow up were nothing more than this. "Listen up." Zhou Quan stared at his subordinates and said, "This time we have to succeed. We have to make sure that nothing goes wrong. If anyone makes a mistake, I will take his life." His words revealed a terrifying killing intent. "Yes, boss." The few subordinates were all stunned and did not dare to say anything against it. They knew how terrifying their boss was. He would not go back on his word and would not show any mercy. "There's no need for that. Let me take their lives for you." All of a sudden, a voice rang out in the warehouse, echoing in the area. It was like the sound of death. "Who is it?" As an expert in the first heaven of the martial artist realm, Zhou Quan suddenly felt his hair stand on end. Sensing the danger of death coming from all around him, every pore on his body shrank. Whoosh whoosh whoosh. In the blink of an eye, 4 or 5 stones immediately flew out from the air, cutting through the air like black lightning. With a shrill sound, they bombarded the black-clothed men. With a few bangs, the 4 or 5 black-clothed men who were standing on the spot did not even have time to react. Their heads were immediately penetrated by the stones and exploded like watermelons, blood splattering everywhere. Then their bodies fell to the ground with a loud bang, and a large amount of dust was sent flying. In just a breath's time, all these subordinates were dead. "Bastard, who was it? Who killed my men?" Zhou Quan was furious to the extreme. A bastard of unknown origin actually dared to kill his men. He was so angry that his lungs were about to explode. Da-da-da. At this moment, a figure walked out of the darkness, walking step by step. The sound of his footsteps sounded like he was stepping on the beating hearts of humans, and the atmosphere was oppressive and tense. Xia Ping. Seeing the appearance of this figure, Zhou Quan's pupils shrank. He could not believe his eyes. The enemy that he had planned to deal with had actually appeared in front of him. This was simply unbelievable. The first thing he felt was incomparable shock. When had his plan been leaked? Why did this brat come to him personally and even kill his men? "You are Zhou Quan, Zhou Ding's elder brother." Xia Ping looked at Zhou Quan calmly. "I heard that you planned to send people to kidnap my family and even wanted to kill me. You're quite bold. Have you thought about how you're going to die?" A terrifying killing intent brewed in his calm tone, revealing his terrifying anger. If he had not known about this comprehensive plan in advance, his family would have been in trouble. He would never forgive such a cruel and ruthless enemy. "How on earth did you know about my plan?" Zhou Quan had no idea at all. It could be said that his plan was improvised and only took a few hours. Even if his men wanted to betray him, they would not have had the time. "Go ask Hades. He might know something." With a bang, Xia Ping moved his hands. First style of the 7 arrows technique. piercing heart and bone. Whoosh whoosh whoosh. In an instant, 2 to 3 stones flew over, tearing through the air with terrifying penetrative force. Once hit, even a boulder that weighed tens of thousands of kilograms would be pierced. Ridiculous. A mere martial disciple dares to attack a martial practitioner? Do you know that you're courting death? Zhou Quan sneered, revealing a ferocious look, and violent true qi surged from his body. Chapter 165. Bang. With a punch, a layer of white light appeared on Zhou Quan's fist. He released his genuine qi, showing his unparalleled strength. A terrifying roar came from the air, like the roar of a ferocious tiger. Before the 3 flying stones could get close, they were immediately smashed into powder by Zhou Quan's fist force. Not bad. Xiaoping's eyes flashed. He could immediately tell that Zhou Quan was stronger than Qin Muyang. Although they were both in the first heaven of the martial warrior realm, one was a veteran who had experienced hundreds of battles, while the other was a rookie who had just advanced. The two of them were fundamentally different. Ridiculous. This is too ridiculous. Zhou Quan stared at Xiaoping and sneered. Do you think you are invincible just because you defeated a rookie who had just advanced to the first heaven of the martial warrior realm? What a joke. I, Zhou Quan, have been in the first heaven of the martial warrior realm for many years. I have refined the genuine qi in my body and experienced hundreds of battles. What haven't I seen? How can a greenhouse flower compare to me? Although I don't know how you know my plan, it doesn't matter. I will break all the bones in your body, shatter your lungs, and slowly interrogate you. Believe me, you will be in a state where you will be begging for death. There was a deep, murderous intent in his words, which made people shudder. Boom! As soon as he finished speaking, Zhou Quan immediately attacked. His whole body was like a black wolf and his legs were like cannonballs. In an instant he flew out, tearing the air apart. His speed was unbelievably fast. His whole body was filled with white genuine qi, emitting a tyrannical power. With a tornado-like airflow he dashed forward. Go to hell. Zhou Quan shouted angrily. He threw a punch with the strength of tens of thousands of kilograms, which was enough to smash everything. Bang. Xiaoping raised his hand and slapped out, blocking Zhou Quan's path. The fist and the palm collided. It was like a Harley satellite hitting the earth. The whole air shook and even the abandoned warehouse was shaking. Xiaoping's feet landed on the cement floor, and with a bang 2 deep footprints appeared. Gravel flew everywhere and cracking sounds rang out as cracks spread out. How is this possible? Even though he had created such a terrifying scene, Zhou Quan's eyes were filled with shock. Normally speaking, his punch was not something that a martial disciple could withstand. A single punch was more than enough to send the other party flying and shatter their bones. That was because the destructive power of a punch infused with Jinqi was unimaginable. However, when his fist collided with the other party's fist, it was as if it had sunk into a ball of cotton. All of the force was neutralized and transmitted to the ground, unable to harm the other party at all. Die. Xiaoping's eyes revealed a hint of coldness as he raised his left hand abruptly. Snake fist, venomous snake pierces the heart. In the blink of an eye, his left hand turned into a poisonous snake. Hissing sounds rang out in the air. His hand moved in a strange manner, as fast as lightning. He attacked in an instant. No, no, no. Zhou Quan's hair stood on end. His years of life and death experience told him that if he did not dodge this attack, he would definitely die today. However, the distance between him and Xiaoping was too short. It was only a few tens of centimeters away, and Xiaoping's attack was so fast that even a poisonous snake could not catch its prey. It did not even take 0.1 seconds for Xiaoping to attack. With such a fast attack speed and such a short distance, how could Zhou Quan block it? Boom. His left hand shot out, ruthless and powerful. In an instant, it pierced Zhou Quan's chest like tofu, and then directly crushed his heart. With a snap, a large amount of blood flowed out of his chest and dripped on the ground. This. Zhou Quan's eyes widened, revealing a look of horror and unwillingness. A severe pain spread all over his body, and his mind could not think at this time. Even if he was beaten to death, he couldn't understand why his punch couldn't kill this kid. But how could Zhou Quan know the strength of Dark North's protective art? Even if Zhou Quan is a master who has advanced to the first heaven of the martial artist realm, it is impossible for him to surpass Qin Muyang in strength alone. The power of one punch was not enough to break Xiaoping's Dark North protective art. He didn't know this and dared to do his best to shorten the distance between him and Xiaoping, so he died. With a bang, Xiaoping took back his blood-stained left hand and looked at Zhou Quan in front of him indifferently. I can't accept it, I can't accept it. Zhou Quan roared to the sky, extremely sad and indignant. To think that he, a master of the first heaven of the martial artist realm, dominated the world, killed monsters, ruled countless subordinates, respected status and enjoyed glory and wealth. But now, just because of a mistake, he died in the hands of a little kid in the martial disciple realm. He died in such a sullen way and his heart was blown up in one move. How could he accept it? But no matter how unwilling he was, no matter how unconvinced he was, he couldn't escape death. With a bang, his body fell and smashed on the ground. His neck was crooked and blood flowed on the ground. He had lost his breath of life. Even immortals couldn't save him. Zizizizi, Xiaoping took out the corpse-dissolving water from his body and dripped it on the corpses of these people. Suddenly, these people turned into a wisp of green smoke and completely disappeared from this world. In order to commit a crime, these people had eliminated all traces of themselves so that the police wouldn't find any clues. They probably didn't expect that they would die and no one would know. What is this? When Zhou Quan's body disappeared and turned into a wisp of green smoke, Xiaoping found that the other party had left behind a white ceramic bottle. This was something that the corpse-dissolving water could not melt, so it was left behind. With a bang, he reached out to pick it up and opened the white porcelain bottle. Immediately, 2 or 3 round green pills were revealed, and they immediately emitted a strong medicinal aura. No way, this is the qi condensation pill? Seeing this pill, Xiaoping was immediately delighted and immediately recognized that these 3 pills were the legendary qi condensation pills. It was said that such a qi condensation pill was worth tens of millions of federal dollars. It was a pill specially refined to speed up the absorption of true qi by martial artists. It contained a huge amount of energy. Consuming such a pill was equivalent to saving a martial artist a year of cultivation. It was incomparably precious. He guessed that these 3 qi condensation pills were bought by Zhou Quan for his own cultivation. However, he didn't expect that he would die before he could take these 3 precious pills. Instead, he let others benefit from it. This is great. With these 3 qi condensation pills, maybe I can quickly advance to the peak of the martial disciple realm and break through to the martial artist realm. Xiaoping clenched his fists and was overjoyed. He had already opened up a part of the Baihui acupoint. As long as he advanced to the peak of the martial disciple realm, he would naturally be able to break through to the martial artist realm. There would be no bottleneck. Chapter 166. The day quickly passed. Xiaoping sat cross-legged in his room and took a deep breath. The qi in his body surged like a raging river, making rumbling sounds and shaking the air. This qi concentration pill is indeed powerful. As expected of a pill for fighters. In a few more days I'll be able to reach the peak of the 9th layer of the fighter realm. Xiaoping opened his eyes, feeling incomparably happy. After taking a qi concentration pill, he felt the qi in his body crazily increase. This amount of energy was comparable to a dozen bottles of golden medicine. It was incomparably powerful. Although only a day had passed, he felt the qi in his body and the strength in his body had increased little by little. It was even stronger than before. Right, time passes in the blink of an eye. It should be time for the banquet soon. Xiaoping stood up and went to take a shower. Then he changed his clothes and left the room. Half an hour later he arrived at the Tianshui Hotel. The Tianshui Hotel was the most luxurious hotel in the entire city. Usually, gatherings of dignitaries or business events would be held here. The parking lot was also filled with luxury cars, each of which was worth more than 1 million federal coins. They looked incomparably extravagant and rich. Ordinary people would flinch at the sight of such a scene. The banquet hall was on the 2nd floor of the hotel. Xiaoping walked straight up and handed his invitation to the security guard at the door. His way was unimpeded. How extravagant! Upon entering the banquet hall, Xiaoping immediately saw many men and women dressed in luxurious clothes. This banquet wasn't only for the top 16 contestants. The children of merchants and nobles were also invited. This was a place for the younger generation to get to know each other. It was equivalent to a social occasion. Xiaoping. At this moment, a familiar voice sounded out. Xiaoping turned his head and immediately saw Jianghu waving at him. Jianghu was also wearing a white evening gown. She was extremely beautiful and had a mature air about her that was completely different from before. Standing next to Jianghu was Chu Rong. She was also dressed very beautifully. Her red dress outlined her perfect curves. She was extremely charming. Apart from her, there were also a few girls from school. I didn't expect you to come too. I thought you didn't like this kind of social occasion. Seeing Xia Ping walk over, Jianghu was a little surprised. Xia Ping waved his hand. Can't help it. I was invited by the mayor. Even if I didn't want to, I had to come. Keep bragging. Chu Rong and Jianghu both looked at Xia Ping with disdain. Even if he was the champion of the fighting tournament, it was still impossible for him to receive a personal invitation from the mayor. After all, what kind of person was the mayor? He was the lord of a city and had a high position of power. A mere high school student fighting competition champion was nothing to him. Why would he personally receive the invitation? They were only invited by the organizers of the competition and came here after receiving the invitation letter. This Xia Ping should be the same, but this guy actually bragged that he was invited by the mayor. He was too shameless. It's fine if you don't believe me. Xia Ping didn't care about their words. He reached out and touched his chin. You're wearing pretty good clothes today. You look very mature and beautiful. I like it. Of course, I prefer you to wear some transparent clothes. It's best if you don't have any cover-up. It's more natural. He named the style of clothes he liked. Bro. Jianghu and Chu Rong's faces turned red. They stared at this bastard. What did he mean by wearing transparent clothes? What kind of clothes were transparent? If he really wore those clothes, it would be no different from not wearing anything. And he still said it was natural? Natural my ass. He was already a primitive man. Even if he wanted to go back in time, he couldn't go back to this early. This rogue was clearly thinking of some shameless things. There was no saving him. Hey, isn't that Xia Ping? He really is the champion of the fighting tournament, Xia Ping. He actually came too. This is great. I want to see him in person. Suddenly, a group of gorgeously dressed girls in the distance seemed to have noticed Xia Ping's appearance. They all cried out in surprise and surrounded him. They moved very quickly and actually surrounded Xia Ping in an instant. They also squeezed Chu Rong and Jianghu out of the way. They weren't polite at all. That's right, I'm Xia Ping. I guarantee it. Xia Ping also sighed. He was the champion and even appeared on TV. He probably had already become a celebrity in Tianshui City. As a celebrity, he was the focus of the crowd wherever he went. He was welcomed by a large number of girls. This was really distressing. Chu Rong and Jianghu were very angry. They couldn't see this bastard's distress at all. Instead, they were enjoying it. It really is Xia Ping. He's exactly the same as on TV. I heard that you're only at the 9th heavenly layer of martial disciple, but you can actually defeat Qin Muyang in the martial disciple realm. How did you do that? Indeed, it's really incredible. I've seen your matches before. It seems that no one is your opponent. In the qualifiers, you also fought 100 people. How did you cultivate? This kind of abdominal muscles is also amazing. It looks so solid. A group of girls chattered. They were all very excited. Some girls were even very bold. They reached over and pinched Xia Ping's abdominal muscles, wanting to feel them. The main thing is to be diligent in cultivation. There are no shortcuts in cultivation. Xia Ping confidently said his cultivation secret. Keep bragging. Jianghu was filled with disdain. She had never seen how diligent this bastard was. It was right to often cause trouble. Who knew how many people had been beaten up by this guy? But hearing this, the surrounding girls all admired him. As expected of the champion of the fighting competition. You're really insightful. It seems that no matter which genius it is, if they don't diligently cultivate, they won't be able to achieve great things. I like men like you. Although your talent is very high, you still cultivate hard. You're also low-key and humble. A group of girls giggled and threw flirtatious glances at Xia Ping. You're too polite. You're praising me too much. Xia Ping waved his hand and said modestly, modesty is my nature. I can't change it. It's just like martial talent. I was born this way. In fact, some teachers have criticized me before. They said that I'm usually too low-key and not many people know me. They said that I need to show off more, otherwise others will look down on me. Chapter 167. However, when it comes to martial cultivation, hard work is naturally necessary, but there should also be a secret to it, a tall girl said to Xia Ping. A tall girl said to Xia Ping, Everyone cultivates for a few hours every day. However, some people improve faster while others improve slower. There are all sorts of situations. Her eyes were filled with curiosity. Of course there's a secret. Xia Ping said carelessly, however this is a personal secret. If there's no need I usually won't say it. He indicated that this was a secret that normal people wouldn't tell. Immediately, the eyes of the group of girls lit up. As expected, as the champion of the fighting competition, being able to defeat a martial disciple in the martial disciple realm, if there wasn't a secret to it they wouldn't believe it. If they could learn even a little bit from him they would probably benefit greatly. In this prosperous era of martial cultivation, everything else was fake. Only martial cultivation was real. Once they could advance to the martial disciple realm, their status would most likely rise greatly, and they wouldn't have to care about others anymore. What secret is there? For a genius like you, this secret is probably nothing, a girl with a hot figure said coquettishly as she hugged Xia Ping's arm. That's right, just say it. You won't lose a piece of flesh anyways. A few other girls walked up and hugged Xia Ping's other arm, dilly-dallying. Xia Ping said carelessly, well, there's a lot of people here, so it's not very suitable to discuss martial cultivation. Why don't we wait for the banquet to end, then find a secluded room where no one will disturb us and have a long talk? Meet each other honestly and discuss martial cultivation. Shameless. When Chu Rong and Jianghu heard these words, they were half dead with anger. What bullshit talk about martial cultivation? He clearly had ill intentions and wanted to do these kinds of indescribable things to these girls. They were already staying in a secluded room where no one would disturb them. Wasn't it up to this shameless man to decide what he wanted to do? You're really too bad, but I like bad men like you. There's a Yi Lai Xiang club nearby. That place is very secluded and I guarantee no one will disturb us. I want to go too, but I have a boyfriend. The group of girls chattered and giggled as they looked at him with seductive eyes. It's okay. It's okay to have a boyfriend. Just don't let him know. Xia Ping expressed his opinion, indicating that it was not a big deal and could be easily solved. This bastard was rotten to the point of oozing pus. The corner of Jianghu's mouth twitched. Just how many women had this guy been with? He was definitely a veteran. Furthermore, he was the kind that had slaughtered thousands and tens of thousands of people. Otherwise, how could he be so skilled? Chu Rong was so angry that she almost died. This bastard didn't let go of anyone. He even wanted someone who had a boyfriend. Maybe he even wanted someone's wife. He didn't reject anyone. He was shameless to the extreme. How could there be such a shameless man in the world? How shameless. Immediately the group of girls laughed. What you said is too reasonable, we can't refute, but we are worried about Nangong Wu. It is said that you have an affair with her, will she be jealous? That's right, that's right. We can't bear the jealousy of the Nangong family's eldest daughter. Xia Ping revealed a righteous and awe-inspiring look. It's fine, I and her are just playing along, taking what we need. She won't care about this kind of thing. Everyone don't worry. Playing along? Hearing this, the surrounding people were all stupefied. All of them looked at Xia Ping in shock. It can't be, right? You're actually playing along? Could it be that you really have an affair with Nangong Wu? Just where did you put on the act? How's Miss Nangong's martial arts? Is she a dead fish? Does it require a lot of pressure to be together with this kind of woman? Does she need to disguise herself? The crowd of girls immediately started gossiping. All of them were discussing excitedly. They were all extremely curious about Nangong Wu. After all, she was like a goddess and there was not the slightest stain on her. But now there was a scandal. One could imagine how excited they were. About that, Xia Ping wanted to boast. Xia Ping. At this moment, an angry shout suddenly came from the side. It contained a terrifying anger, and it seemed as though the temperature of the surrounding space had suddenly dropped by more than 10 degrees, causing the surrounding people to shiver. Everyone turned around to look, and they immediately saw Nangong Wu, who was wearing a gorgeous evening gown and was dressed like a celestial fairy. But now she looked like an angry goddess. Her cheeks were puffed up, and her pretty face was flushed red. Her head was almost emitting smoke, and her beautiful eyes were filled with anger. She simply wanted to bite Xia Ping to death. Originally, she didn't want to pay attention to this shameless man. She treated him as air and directly ignored him. But who would have thought that when she passed by here, she would actually hear this shameless man making up stories about her? He even said that they were playing along, taking what they needed. Play my ass. This was completely unheard of. Nangong Wu was completely infuriated by this shameless Xia Ping. If she continued to let this bastard continue, who knew how big of a storm and scandal would be tomorrow? She knew that these girls didn't have much ability, but their ability to fabricate and spread rumors was extremely shocking. One night was enough to make the whole city know about it. If you have nothing to do, don't gather here. There are some men that you can't touch. Nangong Wu's beautiful eyes were filled with anger as she glared at the group of women, her body emitting a powerful aura. Immediately the group of women were frightened. They didn't dare to speak and left obediently. After all, this was the princess of the Nangong family. If they offended her, it would not be a joke. Xiaoping. Seeing these girls leave, Nangong Wu stepped forward angrily and glared at this bastard man. I'm warning you, don't spread these shameless rumors here. Otherwise, I won't be polite to you. She warned this bastard fiercely. She simply wanted to kick him in the vitals. You're going a bit too far. How are you going to compensate me if you chase them away? Xiaoping said indignantly. He originally thought that tonight would be a wonderful night, but he didn't expect it to be ruined. Compensate my ass. Nangong Wu gnashed her teeth. She hadn't even asked this bastard to compensate her for the damage to her reputation, and this bastard actually wanted her to compensate him. He should be clear about his priorities. However, she was also secretly happy that she had chased away these shameless women and ruined this bastard's good deeds. She had finally made this bastard eat a loss. Jianghu and Chu Rong also looked at Nangong Wu with pity. This girl was probably also a victim of Xiaoping. She didn't know how much pain she had been tortured by this guy. They were the same. Chapter 168. In another corner of the banquet hall, there was a group of young masters gathered together. They were the children of the big families in Tianshui City, and each of them had an extraordinary background. It could be said that these people were the future masters of Tianshui City, and their futures were limitless. Damn it, this bastard Xiaoping, he's so cocky as soon as he got here, doing whatever he wants. All the girls have been taken by him, and now there's no place for us. He's too arrogant, he doesn't even know the rules. A young master in a white suit was indignant and very angry. When he saw a group of girls surrounding Xiaoping, he felt very unhappy and extremely angry. Especially when Nangong Wu, Jianghu and Chu Rong, these peerless beauties, were all by this brat's side, talking and laughing. This made him even more dissatisfied. A poor brat dared to show off in front of them? That's right. He's just a commoner. Even if he has a bit of talent and won the fighting competition, what's so great about that? He doesn't know his place. This kind of fighting competition champion appears every year, and I don't see their future achievements. Some of them are even doing very poorly and can only be our bodyguards. This guy's life is just a bodyguard. He's trash, and he actually dares to act like he's someone important in front of us. He really doesn't know his place. Just who invited this brat here? He's the champion of this fighting competition, it's impossible not to invite him. Bullshit, this banquet is hosted by the mayor himself. Who we invite is not decided by the Qin family. Many of the young masters were very dissatisfied, and they looked at Xiaoping in the distance with unkind eyes. They were very unhappy with this guy who broke into their territory and went around picking up girls. This kind of feeling was like their own home was broken into by an outsider, and this bastard was even flirting with their beautiful wife. How could a man tolerate this kind of situation? Brother Qin, you said that. How should we deal with this? The young master in the white suit asked Qin Muyang, who was next to him. Everyone looked over. After all, Qin Muyang was their leader. Just in terms of family background, Qin Muyang was also the best, not to mention his martial arts cultivation. At this time, after a day of emergency treatment, Qin Muyang's injuries were more or less healed. At least it wasn't as serious as it looked yesterday. However, even though his physical injuries had healed, the damage to his heart wasn't so easily healed. Originally, Qin Muyang had planned to thoroughly defeat Xiaoping in the arena and humiliate him to show off his might before the eyes of the crowd. But who would have thought that he would be humiliated by Xiaoping like a dead dog? It became a joke, and the entire Sky Water City was abuzz with the news. Along the way, Qin Muyang seemed to feel that he was being mocked by everyone. He had clearly said such big words and even advanced to the martial arts realm. He had been glorious, but he had still lost, and it was an indisputable loss. Some of them even suspected that they, as experts in the martial warrior realm, were fake and that they had taken pills to advance in order to save face. This made Qin Muyang even more annoyed and hated Xiaoping even more. Yes, Brother Qin, you have to deal with this matter. That's right, that's right. If we let this fellow continue to show off here, wouldn't all of our chicks fall into his hands? It's not like you didn't see that bastard's face. He clearly wants to sow seeds here. He wants to harm the daughters of the aristocratic families in Skywater City. You have to control him. Otherwise this fellow will be out of control. A few young masters were heartbroken and indignant, especially when they saw that the girls they liked, who usually didn't spare them a glance, were now fawning over Xia Ping and fawning over him. They felt as if they had been slapped in the face. If this continued, perhaps all of them would be cuckolded by him. How could they tolerate this? Brother Qin, you have to think carefully. If this continues, I'm afraid Nangong Wu will fall into his hands. When have you ever seen Nangong Wu talking and laughing with a man like this? The young master in the white suit gave Qin Muyang a heavy blow. Qin Muyang clenched his fists. He could tolerate anything except the fact that the girl he liked had been snatched away by someone else. Even if he had to tolerate shit and piss, he definitely couldn't tolerate this. Thinking of this, his eyes revealed a trace of coldness. Let's go. As soon as he finished speaking, he strode towards Xia Ping. Seeing this, the others were also overjoyed. They all knew that there was going to be a good show to watch. They immediately followed. Xia Ping, I trust you've been well since we last met. Qin Muyang immediately walked up and stared at Xia Ping in front of him. His eyes contained a sinister look. His fists were clenched tightly, showing that his heart wasn't calm at all. Nangong Wu, Chu Rong, and Jiang Yaru immediately saw this situation. There was also a large group of young masters walking up. They immediately knew that Qin Muyang didn't come with good intentions. They reckoned that he was here for Xia Ping. So it's Qin Muyang. Xia Ping looked at him curiously, sizing him up and down. He clicked his tongue and praised, according to your injuries yesterday, you'll probably have to lie in bed for a month. But you've recovered so quickly. Just what kind of treatment did you receive? As expected of the mayor's son. It's good to have power and influence. Good my ass. Hearing this, Qin Muyang's face turned green. How could he not know that this bastard was mocking him? Although he was indeed the mayor's son and had power and influence, he still couldn't go to the hospital every day. Power and money couldn't be used to treat his own injuries. The other young masters' mouths twitched. The Xia Ping's mouth was really too despicable. He didn't show mercy at all. He was clearly offending someone to death without giving them any face. Nangong Wu and the others were also speechless. They didn't know what to say. Xia Ping, don't be too arrogant. Qin Muyang clenched his fists. His eyes were filled with anger. Don't think that you're so great just because you beat me in the arena. That's just a temporary defeat. In the future, you'll be nothing but an ant in front of me, not even worth mentioning. An incomparably confident expression appeared on his face. You're quite confident. Xia Ping calmly looked at Qin Muyang. Qin Muyang coldly laughed. This isn't confidence. It's the truth. You should know that this world has always been unfair. Some people are born high and mighty, enjoying glory and splendor. They can have whatever they want. They can consume all sorts of treasures and reach the martial master realm as easily as drinking tea and drinking water. But some people are born into the mud. They come from ordinary families and are trampled on by others. They work hard for their entire lives, do everything they can only become someone's follower or dog. You should also know what kind of person I am and what kind of person you are. Chapter 169. Xia Ping didn't say anything. He just stared at Qin Muyang indifferently. Looks like you're still unconvinced. Qin Muyang stared at Xia Ping and sneered, I'll let you experience the cruelty of the world. I'll let you know that your title as the champion of the fighting competition is nothing in front of me. He clapped his hands and made a few clapping sounds. Young Master Qin. At that moment, 3 middle-aged men in black suits walked over from afar. They were well-built and emitted a powerful aura. They arrived in front of Qin Muyang in an instant and bowed with their heads lowered. Their attitude was extremely respectful. But the surrounding people could immediately tell that the aura of these 3 men in black suits wasn't simple at all. They were extremely powerful like wild beasts. It was very likely that these 3 men were martial warriors. These are the bodyguards loyal to my Qin family. Qin Muyang was very satisfied. He looked at Xia Ping. Do you know who they are? One of them was the champion of Tianshui City's high school fighting competition 20 years ago, one was the champion 18 years ago, and one was the champion 16 years ago. All 3 of them are martial warriors. They're extremely powerful. But right now they can only be my Qin family's bodyguards. They're willing to be my Qin family's dogs. What? Hearing this, the surrounding people were all shocked. They looked at the three men in black suits in disbelief. They looked like bodyguards, quiet and loyal. They couldn't believe that these three were once the champions of Tianshui City's high school fighting competition. One had to know how difficult it was to become the champion of such a competition. Each one of them was a martial arts genius. Each one of them was arrogant and looked down on everyone. But even these martial arts geniuses could only be bodyguards and dogs for the Qin family after 10 years. Immediately, the crowd couldn't help but look at Xia Ping with a trace of pity. If every year's champion was like this, then this Xia Ping wasn't anything special. At most, he could only be a bodyguard and watch the door for others. This bastard. Chu Rong and Jiang Yaru were both enraged. How could they not see that Qin Muyang wanted to use these three bodyguards to suppress Xia Ping? He wanted to thoroughly humiliate him. Qin Muyang, this is a little too much. Nangong Wu frowned and wanted to stop him. If this went on, Xia Ping would be humiliated to the point of losing all face. Even if she was angry at Xia Ping's actions, she didn't want to go too far. Nangong Wu, this is a matter between us men. Don't interfere. Qin Muyang glared at Nangong Wu with bloodshot eyes. He looked like a mad lion as a terrifying murderous aura surged out from his body. Sensing this baleful aura, Nangong Wu couldn't help but take a few steps back. She immediately knew that this person was truly angry. If that was the case, she most likely wouldn't dare to make a move. After all, the consequences of a fight between the Nangong clan and the Qin clan were too severe. Young man. A bald bodyguard in black looked at Xia Ping. I advise you to keep a low profile. Don't be too arrogant. Being the champion of the high school fighting competition is just an empty title. The martial disciple realm is only the weakest realm. There are still the martial warrior realm, martial mentor realm, master realm, and even the king realm. It is extremely difficult to break through each realm, and it requires a large amount of resources. No family, no background, no resources. What right do you have to break through just by relying on talent? Ridiculous. A single pill is equivalent to 10 years of your cultivation. Let me ask you, how can you compete? He sneered, paused for a moment and continued, after accumulating for a long time, you are still in the martial warrior realm, but they are already in the martial master realm or even a master realm expert. I don't know how big the gap is. You want to start being arrogant now? You're not qualified. Hearing this, everyone couldn't help but nod. Resources were too important for martial artists. Without resources, one had to cultivate hard and absorb the spiritual energy of heaven and earth. The efficiency was slow. For example, these bodyguards were all champions of the fighting competition. Naturally, there was no need to talk about talent, but they had no background and no support. In the end, they were only in the martial warrior realm. They were reduced to being bodyguards of the Qin clan. You're you, I am me. If you do poorly, others must do poorly? Xia Ping said indifferently, there have been so many fighting competitions and there are many who have done well. The few of you are decadent and have failed as human beings. You are willing to be dogs and you want others to be with you. I want to say that the three of you shouldn't be too self-righteous. Even on Earth in his previous life, there were college entrance examination champions who could only work as security guards, sell pork, or even beg after graduation. There were such people and it was very normal. But did this mean that the college entrance examination champions were of low value? There were also a lot of people who did well and did not lose to anyone. The three bodyguards in black were so angry that their noses were crooked. They glared at Xia Ping. This bastard actually dared to mock them like this. Although they were indeed the kind of champions who did poorly in many fighting competitions, it was not the guy's turn to mock them like this. Enough. Qin Muyang waved his hand and looked at Xia Ping coldly. You really won't shed tears until you see the coffin. I will now let you see what is called the power of power. I am someone you will never be able to compare to in your lifetime. He waved his hand. Immediately, a middle-aged man in a white suit came quickly from a distance. He was the butler of this venue and also the main person in charge. He immediately stepped forward and said respectfully to Qin Muyang, Young Master Qin. I don't want to see this kid. Get him out of here immediately. Qin Muyang gave the order in a domineering manner. He used his power to chase Xia Ping out of the banquet hall. This kid is going to embarrass himself. To be chased out of the banquet hall, this is probably the first time in the history of a fighting competition champion's banquet. This is power. So what if you are the champion? He is the mayor's son. It is easy for him to mess with a commoner like you. This kid is too arrogant and doesn't know his status. This is a good chance to teach him a lesson. All the young masters laughed coldly and looked like they were watching a good show. The butler in white hesitated. Xia Ping was the champion of this fighting competition and was also an important person in this banquet. He was even personally called out by the mayor to take care of him. If he chased Xia Ping away just like that, he wouldn't be able to explain himself to the mayor. What this? Even you don't listen to my orders? Qin Muyang was instantly furious. This banquet is hosted by my Qin family. My Qin family has the final say on who we want to invite and who we want to chase away. If this kid doesn't leave, then you leave. He was extremely domineering. You're tuning in to the Han Li's Wuxia Adventures YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.